The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Happy to have you with me. It gets lonely in here sometimes when it's dark and quiet, and there's no one for company except the strange and brooding spirits. But we're not staying here for long. We're on our way to Connecticut to visit a little house on an out-of-the-way dirt road called Chimney Lane. If you're interested in country property, you might be interested in it. But then again, you may not. You see, the house is vacant. Not because nobody wants to buy it. The owner is afraid to sell it. Our mystery drama, The House on Chimney Lane, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Bob Juran and stars Marion Seldes. I'd like you to meet two friends of mine, Jim and Marion Sage. They're a playwriting team who have just had a hit play open on Broadway. They've been writing for years, living frugally in a small apartment in Greenwich Village, and at last they've hit the big time, as the saying goes. Their new financial security is making a dream come true, the dream of a house of their own in the country, where they could enjoy life while they continued to write their plays. And that's what led them to Connecticut and the house on Chimney Lane.
I'm Mrs. Green. Can I help you?
Yes. You seem to be the only real estate agent in town, and we're interested in knowing something about a house.
Oh, sit down, please.
Thank you. I'm Jim Sage, my wife, Marion.
How do you do?
Hello.
We are the only realtors in this village, and we do have a lot of beautiful listings.
We're interested in one particular house. We passed it this afternoon, peeped in the windows. It seemed to be empty, and we wondered if it's for sale and if you might have a key.
We usually have our sign out in front of the houses for sale. Did you see it?
Oh, no, there was no sign.
Do you remember where it was?
Oh, yes. It was the end of a narrow road called Chimney Lane.
Chimney Lane? That house?
Yes. We fell in love with it, and we were hoping...
That house definitely isn't for sale.
Oh, dear. Why is it vacant, then?
The owner closed it up and moved to Florida.
Well, I thought houses were at a premium around here.
The house on Chimney Lane can never be lived in again.
Oh, now you're going to say that it's haunted.
We're not generally given to superstition here, Mr. Sage, but things happened in that house that no one can turn their back on.
Like what?
We don't talk about it anymore, but...
Please.
Well, there was nothing wrong until 5 years ago when a group of cultists moved into the house. No one knows what kind of things they were up to, but they left, and then things started.
What kind of things?
Well, the next family that owned it disappeared entirely. Just like that. I mean, water still in the tub, breakfast things on the table. Never heard from again.
And, there was more?
The next owner just abandoned it. Wouldn't tell anybody what happened. And finally, Ed Hagen, who owns it now, tried to burn it down, and, well, that was the capper.
Capper?
Now, the place wouldn't burn. Fire started in the kitchen, burned for almost an hour before the fire department was notified, and no more damage than one kitchen wall. That house is bewitched.
Can you give us the address of this Mr. Hagen?
He won't sell.
Well, we'd at least like to ask.
Very well. But you're wasting your time.
Do you believe what she said?
Oh, what happened may be true. But I don't think it's evil spirits. There's just some explanation that no one wanted to look for.
Want to swing by and take another look?
Oh, I'd love to.
Hey, Marion. Hey, come around here.
What is it?
Look, the boards are loose on this window. I didn't notice it before. You want to go in?
Do you think we should?
Well, Well, Mr. Hagen's in Florida. We got to see the inside if we're serious about buying.
Let's go.
Good. And now this ought to come off easy. There you go. And I give you a hand up.
It's not high. There. That's easy.
Yeah. Well, here I come.
We're in a pantry.
Yeah, light's kind of dim. Come on. Hey, here's the kitchen. Oh, that's where the fire was, huh?
It was strange, wasn't it? I mean, that the whole house didn't burn.
Well, I still don't think black magic had anything to do with it.
Look how charming. A sunken living room.
Hey, with a fireplace. Paneling's in good condition, too.
And a den, Jim. Look over here.
Hey, yeah. Might make a good workroom for us.
Oh, isn't it perfect? And a fireplace in here, too? Oh, I'm falling more in love with it every minute.
Hey, check that circular staircase, huh?
I can't imagine a better place for us, Jim. Oh, let's see if we can get in touch with Mr. Hagen.
I'm with you. I'm ready to take it, evil spirits and all.
And maybe we'll even write a play about it.
Look, let's get back to the city. I'll try to call Mr. Hagen tonight. Okay. Yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Hagen. We'll have our attorney handle things. Thanks. Goodbye.
It's ours?
Well, that was Hagen's son. Old Mr. Hagen died last year. His son's only too glad to get rid of the house.
How long will it take?
A couple of weeks, maybe. I'll get Fred to handle the details.
Oh, I hope we're in by Christmas. I'm going to ask Georgia to give us some advice on the decorating. Broadway's #1 set designer ought to have some good ideas for a country house with a resident evil spirit. Isn't it beautiful, Georgia?
Oh, it is. I've got a dozen ideas already. I would suggest cutting through the pantry and combining it with the kitchen.
Take a look at the den, George. You know, we want something dramatic in there.
Okay. Oh, isn't this cozy fireplace bay window?
We're thinking of some sort of bold wallpaper. You see, that one wall is so...
unbroken. Yeah, something dramatic. Hey! I've got it. How about a photo mural?
Not a bad idea. Got something in mind?
I do. You want a little flair. I think I've got just the thing.
What?
A jungle scene complete with lion, birds, ferns, vines.
That sounds exciting.
Do you know the photographer Elliot Mann?
No.
Well, he's an old friend from college. He's been in Africa and took some incredible shots. One would make a terrific mural for that wall.
Well, let's take a look.
I'll borrow some slides from Elliot. I think it might be perfect. It would certainly be unique.
It's really sensational, George.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. I was having some doubts that it might be too overpowering.
No, I love it. It makes the whole room seem larger.
Yeah, it's like having an indoor garden, you know, with all those vines and ferns.
And that lion on the rock. And the tropical birds. Oh, it's so dramatic. I can't wait for the housewarming to see people's reaction.
Oh, by the way, I'm bringing Elliot to the party. He's anxious to know how the mural turned out.
Great. It'll be nice to meet him. It's a week from Saturday, you know.
You two have certainly done wonders in the month and a half you've been in here.
With your help.
Well, the place was in pretty good shape.
You haven't met up with any of those celebrated evil spirits, have you?
No, not a one. The house is as normal as we are.
You know, where there is something evil or psychic or whatever, you can usually sense it.
And we haven't felt anything but happiness in all the weeks we've been living here. I'll get it. Georgia, come in.
Oh, it's starting to snow.
The forecast said snow and freezing rain.
Wow. Marion, this is Elliot Mann.
Hi. Nice to be here.
I'm delighted you could come. And we love your photograph.
Oh.
I guess you know that.
Well, I'm happy it worked out so well.
Come on in. Meet everybody. And we'll show you how the wall looks.
That is impressive. The details held up beautifully in the blow-up.
Yeah, the feeling of realism is incredible. Everybody's talking about it.
Well, I'll never forget shooting that photo. The stupid lion attacked us a second after I snapped. Chased our car for almost a mile before he gave up.
Well, you have to expect those things when you gallop around Africa.
The animals weren't as dangerous as the natives. They were a wicked bunch in that part of the bush. They're headhunters, primitive, superstitious, and utterly ruthless.
I'll stay in the good old USA, thanks.
They refuse to be photographed, if anyone's foolish enough to get close enough to try.
Why?
Well, it's a common belief among many primitive people that the camera captures their soul. They're deadly afraid of cameras.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Needless to say, you didn't get any shots.
Oh, not of the headhunters. It wasn't worth the risk.
Hold on a minute. I think you might be mistaken, Elliot.
What do you mean?
I've never noticed it before. We've had the mural up for 2 weeks, but I just didn't see it till now. Look, through the leaves down in this corner. It's the face of a man.
Let me see that.
Oh, it's a face, all right. You probably didn't know he was there when you took the picture.
Well, he couldn't have been. There wasn't a native for 10 miles around. Anyway, I would have seen it on the slide.
Well, maybe the blow-up brought it out.
It's just a trick of the lighting. You're right, Marion. It does resemble one of the bushmen. When you stand back, it looks like a face. It's just the pattern of the leaves and ferns. There's no real face there.
Oh, yes, I see it now.
It looks like the real thing to me.
Well, you probably can find lots of images in those leaves. The dappled sunlight does it.
Looking for things in the mural will give Jim and me something to do when we hit those writing blocks.
Marion, some of the gang's starting to leave, and they're worried about getting back to the city in the storm. It's turning to sleep.
Look at it out there.
Yes, I'm glad you invited me to stay the night.
Well, I'd better start back, too. I'm leaving for Wyoming in the morning.
Oh, it's a shame to wind things up so soon. I wish we could put everybody up.
You better not wait any longer, Elliot. It turned to sleet, all right. It's a fairyland. Everything is ice.
The sun on those trees. It's fantastic.
And we're without a phone. Branches are down all over the place. I'm going into town.
Ah, the joys of winter in suburbia. I hope the crowd made it back safe last night.
Well, I'm sure they did. I'll be back as soon as I can. I've got to get the phone company out here, and then I'm going to get a haircut. I'll see you later.
Drive carefully, dear. Let's take our coffee into the den, Georgia.
Okay.
I'll stir up the fire. There's some embers left from last night.
Oh, it really is beautiful out there. The scene through the bay window almost looks like a painting itself.
Georgia.
What?
Look over here. The face I saw in the leaves last night.
Hey. Where is it?
But that's what I mean. It's gone.
Good morning, ma'am. Your phone company.
Yes, come in. I saw you working on the wires. That was fast.
Well, I was in the area when I got the call. Weather like this keeps us busy.
Oh, I can imagine.
Well, I've got to check the instrument now.
Of course, this way. Phone's in the den. Would you like some coffee?
No, thanks very much. I got to get going when I check you out.
Okay. The phone's right in there.
Thank you.
And if you change your mind about the coffee, just say so. It's already made.
Thank you. Let's see here. Operator, this is Maxwell checking 0419. Right, okay. Let me get that down. 41 Chestnut Court. Okay, I'll head there next. Right? What is this? No! Get back! Get back! Get back! No!
Did you hear what I think I heard? In Jim and Marion's den? Perhaps we were mistaken. What really happened, of course, was that the phone man turned around and saw... Well, come to think of it, what did he see? Perhaps we'll find out about that and more about this house on Chimney Pot Lane when I return shortly with Act 2. I'm happy you've returned. You see, as your host, I have to be here. And after what I heard a few moments ago, I'd just as soon not be here alone. Thanks for your company. I suppose you heard it, too, that ominous growl right in the middle of a pleasant Connecticut home. And it certainly gave our telephone repairman a turn. He couldn't believe his ears or his eyes. But then, here on Mystery Theater, lots of things happen that are hard to believe. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Hello? Yes? Oh, yes, he was here. Just a minute. Yes, his truck's still in the driveway, so he must have gone outside again. All right, I'll have him call right in.
What's that all about?
Phone company. They want to talk to the repairman. Did you see him go out?
No.
I left him in here checking the phone. That was at least half an hour ago.
That's right. We've been talking in the kitchen.
Jim came home.
We wouldn't leave without his truck.
Wouldn't think so. He must be outside. I'll look.
I'll come with you.
Jim, did you see anything of the repairman when you came in?
No, his truck's out there, and I don't know where he is.
Well, come on. We'll have a look. Telephone, a phone man? Are you out there?
Hello?
He would have answered. I just don't know where he went. I'll call him back and tell him.
I thought he might be in the basement, but he isn't.
That's strange. He's not here, but where would he go without his truck? It's been 2 hours, and the truck's still there.
Oh, there's a car pulling in the driveway.
It's a police car. What in the world?
It must have something to do with the repairman.
Jim, the police are here.
Yeah, I see.
There's someone with them.
You better go out, Jim.
They're looking at the truck.
Well, that other man must be from the phone company.
Hello, officer.
Mr. Sage,
Yes?
I'd like to talk with you for a minute.
Well, of course. Come on in. This way, officer. This is my wife, Mrs. Sage, and
Hello.
a friend, Miss Kane.
Well, how do you do? I'm Officer Rich.
Is the repairman still missing?
That's right, Mrs. Sage. I'm sorry to have to bother you like this, but I have to ask some questions.
I really don't know what to tell you.
When was the last time you saw Bob Maxwell?
When I showed him into the den. He'd been outside, and he came in to check the phone, and I left him alone. And then Miss Kane and I had our coffee in the kitchen.
That's right.
And you were here, Mr. Sage?
No, I was in town getting a haircut.
Uh-huh. So the last person to see Maxwell was you, Mrs. Sage, hmm?
Yes.
May I see the den, please?
Sure, right this way. It's right off the living room.
Thank you. The operator says Maxwell checked in with her at 9:42. She gave him instructions for his next stop. And that's the last anyone heard from him. Or I take it saw him.
But I left him right here in the...
Wow. That's some wall.
Yeah, a friend of Miss Kane's took that photograph, and we had it specially made to fit the wall.
And neither of you heard or saw Maxwell go out.
No, but we were in the kitchen. I mean, he could have left without us knowing it.
Well, I don't know what else to ask. We don't suspect foul play, obviously, Mr. Sage. But this house, well, it has had a reputation.
Oh, we've been here 2 months and haven't had one single strange thing happen.
Until now.
Oh, now, look. Don't tell me you think that anything...
I don't know what to think, Mr. Sage. It wouldn't be the first time someone disappeared from this house without a trace.
Yeah, so they say.
I have to admit superstition has no place in a police investigation, except that this man isn't around, and his truck is.
And my wife was the last to see him.
Exactly.
Well, we're as baffled as you are, officer.
Well, I'll make my report, and we'll see where we go from there. The phone company's taking the truck back. Oh, and Mr. Sage, if anything out of the ordinary should happen, something that would give us any kind of clue, you'll let us know immediately.
Of course.
Put another log on the fire while you're up, Jim, will you?
Right, and I'll freshen the drinks.
Oh, this is so warm and cozy. I wish I didn't have to go back to the city tomorrow.
You're welcome to stay as long as you want. You know that, Georgia.
Oh, I know, and I appreciate it, Marion.
Oh, here you go, Marion. Georgia.
Thank you.
Well, it's been quite a weekend. Between last night's party and today's little episode.
It's so curious about that man from the phone company. To disappear like that.
Well, he certainly didn't meet with any foul play here.
Marion?
What?
Marion, I've been looking at the mural. It seemed to me the lion had his mouth open, like he was snarling.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, well, look at it now.
The mouth's closed.
And his head is raised as though he were sniffing the air.
Yeah, I could swear the lion looks different now than he did when the picture went up.
Well, maybe it looks different. We don't remember. But it can't be different.
Listen, when I get back to the city tomorrow, I'll look at Elliot's original slide.
Yeah, that's an idea. Well, that ought to settle it.
Fascinating the way the firelight makes the foliage seem almost to sway.
Hypnotizing.
Yeah, that's probably why we think we see things that aren't there.
Like the man's face I saw last night. It was gone this morning in the daylight.
Well, there's more in that picture than meets the eye. Looks like we'll have no end of fun with it.
I'm back.
George, is train coming on time?
On the nose.
And while I'm making coffee, let's get started on that fourth scene today.
Oh, I was hoping to. I'll be in the den and bring in some donuts. They're in the bread box. What in the world was he doing over there in his bare feet? Oh, well, the place needs a good going over after that party. I'll clean up tomorrow.
Yeah, I was thinking we ought to open scene 4 in the hospital waiting room rather than Millie's apartment.
Jim, you shouldn't walk around these cold floors in your bare feet.
What are you talking about?
Your footprints on the floor over by the wall.
I wasn't in here in bare feet.
Well, those are wet footprints, aren't they?
Where? I don't see him.
They were right there a second ago. Damp footprints across the rug. A man's bare foot.
Well, it couldn't have been. I haven't been in here at all since you drove Georgia down the station. Much the less in my bare feet.
It wasn't my imagination.
Well, I didn't say it was. But the prints weren't mine. Listen, I think maybe we've let the tales about this house get the best of us. Last night I thought I was seeing things with the lion. You thought you saw a man's face, and now you think you saw wet footprints. Now, the lion couldn't change, huh? We're just reading things into it. Come on, let's get to work.
Hello?
Marion, it's Georgia.
Hi, Georgia.
Listen, I've meant to call you for days, but I've been up to my ears in work. I went over to Elliot's and looked at the slide.
Oh, yes, we were wondering about that.
Must have been the firelight. The slide's the same as the wall. The lion has his head in the air and his mouth is closed.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It hasn't changed. Is that funny? We should have thought that it was different.
How are things with the house? Did that telephone man ever turn up?
No, not that we know of. We haven't heard. By the way, Georgia, could you come up this weekend? Jim's going to Philadelphia to doctor a new tryout. I'd love the company.
Sure, I'd love it. I need a break.
Georgia? Hold on a minute, will you?
Sure.
Yes, it is. Georgia?
Yeah, what's up?
The face is back in the mural.
What?
I've been staring at the wall while we've been talking. It's there. The whole outline of a bushy head and face through the ferns, like the one I saw at the party.
Elliot said that was a trick of the lighting.
But remember, the day after the party, it was gone.
You didn't see it again, you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean. See you Friday.
I'll be up in the afternoon.
Who's on the phone?
It's Georgia.
I'll call and let you know the train.
Good, I'll meet you.
And Marion, relax.
I will. Bye, Georgia.
Good idea to have her up here for the weekend. I'll be back late Sunday afternoon. I hope.
Georgia says that the lion in the photo slide is the same as the wall. There's no difference.
Well, I was expecting that. Yeah, we're letting our imaginations run away with us.
Leave the dishes, Georgia. Let's have some brandy by the fire.
Oh, you don't have to twist my arm for that.
It's probably Jim. He said he'd call when he got to Philadelphia.
Well, he made good time.
Oh, bring the coffee into the den. The brandy's in the liquor cabinet.
I'll be right in. Say hi to Jim for me.
Hello?
Hi, honey.
I thought it would be you.
How are things with you?
Just finished dinner.
Everything is all right, isn't it?
Of course.
Well, I'm glad George is there. See you Sunday.
We'll be here. Bye, darling.
I put on a fresh pot of coffee. It'll be ready in a while. Now, how about that brandy,
Oh, yes. It's in the lower cabinet and the glasses are there, too.
Oh, well, let me get them. Nothing like a swirl of brandy. Well, now, where in the world did this come from?
What is it?
It's a feather. A blue feather.
I don't have anything with feathers. Where was it?
On the floor. I picked it up right here.
Exactly under that bird in the mural.
What do you mean?
There has never been a feather in this house. I can't stand them.
You think that... Oh, Marian, it can't be.
Look at the bird. Look. That feather is from that bird in the picture.
Oh, now, Marian, come on. You've got me doing it. I could swear I saw those ferns move.
Where?
Over there in the right-hand corner. What is happening?
Unless we're going crazy. You do hear drums.
Yes.
We've got to get out of this house. I don't know what it is, but we've got to get out. I knew there was something about that picture. Come on, Georgia. Hurry.
Marian! Marian, look!
It's moving. Oh, the lion is coming into this room. Run, Georgia. Run.
Well, the big cat is out of the bag. Now we know that all those things Marian was seeing, the face of the man, the different face on the lion, and most recently the feather, weren't figments of hers or anyone's imagination. Something strange is happening in this house on Chimney Pot Lane, and I'll join you there shortly in Act 3. I told you I'd meet you back at the house on Chimney Pot Lane, but I'm afraid that's not where we're going now as we begin Act 3. Did I say a moment ago that something strange was happening in Marian Sage's den? Strange? It's downright terrifying.
Run, Georgia! Run! It's attacking! This way, run! It's gonna kill us! What is happening, Marian? What is it? I don't know. We're surrounded by the jungle. No, keep going. Oh, dear heaven, what's happening to us?
It's so slippery.
Georgia! I tripped on that vine. Let me help you.
Oh, it's all right. He's turned back. He's not following us anymore.
Where are we? Where's your house?
I don't know any more than you know, George.
We're in the jungle. But how or why? 1 minute we were looking at the wall, and then here we are. This has got to be some kind of hallucination. This is not happening to us.
The line you tripped over is real enough. Your ankle is bleeding.
I hadn't even noticed.
Maybe you're right about moving. But it's so dense. Which way do we go? And where? I can't move another step. I'm scared to death. I want to lie down and go to sleep and wake up from this nightmare.
There seems to be a path leading off that way. We have got to keep moving, Marian. Come on.
George, is that smoke?
Yes, it is. Up ahead. The path we're on, I never thought about it.
What?
This path has to be made by someone or something coming and going.
See what you mean?
Try not to make a sound.
We're coming to the top of a hill.
Shh. Stay back up there.
Georgia, look, down there.
It's a village. We're on the road into town.
Look at those people. It's just like the man I saw in the picture.
Look at the top of those poles.
Are they?
They're skulls. Come on, back down the path before they see us.
How far do you think we've come from the village?
I haven't the slightest idea.
So hot. Humid. I can hardly breathe.
We're going to have to find some kind of shelter.
Yes, it's starting to get so dark.
Yes, and there's no telling what comes out at night in this place.
Georgia? Huh? Listen. Sounds like water.
It is. Up ahead, a waterfall.
Well, at least maybe we could get cooled off.
Oh, it should be fresh for drinking. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Don't get too close. Those rapids are full of rocks.
So fresh. So cool.
Marion? Look over there. On the other side.
What do you see?
It looks like a cave just under the bank.
Yes, I see it.
It might be a safe place for the night. Here we are, down on the rock.
Yeah, I'm okay.
It seems to be a good-sized opening.
It's so dark in there. Maybe there's something in there.
Oh, wait, my cigarette lighter in the pocket of my slacks. At least we'll know what we're getting into.
It's not bad at all. It's like a large room.
Someone's had a fire in here, too. We're not the first tenants.
Georgia, there's some kind of animal lying over there in that corner. We better get out of here fast.
It's not moving.
Georgia, don't go any closer. What's the matter with you?
Marion. Look. It's the telephone repairman.
What? Get back. Get back. I got a stick.
You? Here.
Women. 2 women.
You're the phone man, Mr. Maxwell.
Oh, this gets worse all the time. You're the lady with the crazy wall.
Yes, the same thing happened to you.
What happened to me? I was fixing the phone, and all of a sudden a lion leaped out at me, and I've been roaming around in the jungle. I just don't know how many days.
That's what happened to us. You've been here a whole week.
Is that how long? I've been hiding from animals and headhunters and eating berries.
There's no telling how long we'll all be here.
Is there any way back?
We hope so. But we just don't know where to look. Every part of the jungle looks like every other part.
Not so. I've been here longer than you now. There are certain spots that are really different.
In what way?
Well, I've come on places where the foliage looks almost fake. Now there's one spot where there are more birds. Now, they all seem to gather together. I saw this bird sitting up in a tree, and all of a sudden it flicks its tail, and a big feather flies out, and right before my eyes, it disappeared. It just disappeared into thin air.
The feather. Was it blue?
It could have been. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was.
And I know where it landed. Can you find this place where the birds gather? That may be our way back.
I think so. It's downstream a ways.
What do you mean, Georgia?
The blue feather we found on the floor of the den. It must have come from that bird. We were standing inches away from you, Mr. Maxwell. Neither of us knew it.
I don't know what you're talking about, ma'am.
No, you couldn't. But if we can find those birds, we might be close to getting out of this whatever it is.
Well, it's too dark to try now. But we could in the morning.
We must in the morning.
Is it much further to where the birds are?
See that clump of tall trees in the distance? Well, it was just to the right of them that I saw the birds, and down below was where the ferns and things looked different.
But do we have to go that far? I'm exhausted.
What's that large dark area up ahead?
That beats me. Must be a bog or something.
You know, it looks to me as though it's moving.
It does. It's sort of rippling.
It might be quicksand. I don't remember seeing it before.
It must stretch for miles. Can we get across it?
It depends on what it is.
I think it's moving toward us. Look.
It's spreading like a big oil slick.
It's moving, and it is headed toward us.
Darn if I can tell what it is.
We better turn back.
We're too late.
Oh, good Lord. They're ants. Millions of ants.
Run! Run this way!
They're all around us. Acres of their legs. Oh, no. What can we do?
Keep moving! Stop and don't do any good!
Get them off me!
Get away, you devils!
My hair!
Come on, fast! One chance! Get to the river! Run!
Hello? Jim? Who's there?
Elliot Mann.
Oh, hi. Hey, what are you doing outside?
I just drove up. Georgia told me she was spending the weekend. I wanted another look at that mural. No one answers. I guess the girls are out.
Probably antique hunting. They said they were doing that today. Come on in. Door's open. Not like Marion to leave without locking the front door. Well, I got back a day early. Say, it's strange. All the lights are on. It's only 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it looks like they were having a party. Coffee and brandy.
Elliot, something's wrong. Marion would never leave the den like this.
Hey, that's curious. A blue feather.
Where did that come from?
It was on the floor here.
Marion doesn't have any feathers.
This is from a tropical bird.
I want to know where Marion and Georgia are.
We're almost to the river.
I don't think I can go another step.
Oh, you can.
Help.
Come on. We're ahead of the devils. It's just a few more yards. That's it. Into the water. We're safe from them now. It's not far to the other side. So follow me. Here, I'll help you out.
I'm up. Thanks. Oh, any idea where we are?
No, not anymore. I'm going to take a look over the top of the bank.
I'm so tired, George. I think I'm going to die.
No, you're not. We're going to get out of this.
We don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. All this wandering around and being chased for nothing.
Marion, look. Through the ferns. Is that a man? Crouching?
Yes. It's one of the headhunters.
Well, there's nothing familiar on top of...
Look over there. There's a headhunter looking at us through the ferns.
Oh.
What do we do?
Stay still. He's alone.
There he goes. He's running away.
Yes, he's probably gone for help. We better get out of here before they get back.
They know this place better than we do. We'll never escape them.
Look, I don't want to end up on one of those poles.
I wonder if we have any choice.
Elliot, Look there. In the lower left-hand corner of the wall.
What?
A face. I swear. It's a woman's face.
Where?
Through the ferns. It's gone. It was the perfect outline of a woman's face.
They're on their way. They'll probably try to circle around us and cut us off.
They'll find us. They'll kill us.
We have got to keep going.
We can't get away from them. We can't.
Up ahead. Look, the bird. birds. That's the spot I told you about.
We might find a way.
No, I spear. I'm hit.
No, help me. He's hurt. Past those trees. Past the trees. There it is. Lord, Marion, help me. We've got to help him. The house, the den is right through those trees. Yes, you're right. We found the way. Help me drag Maxwell. Take his arm. Hurry, please. We found it. Lord, help us get there. Please help us. It's Jim.
Marion!
We're coming through. We're here. Oh, help him. It's the phone man.
Spear in his back.
They're after us. The headhunters. Stop them. Do something.
There's one thing that might stop them. My camera's in the car. I'll be right back. They're deathly afraid of this. I captured more than their souls when I took that picture 2 years ago.
Pulling back. They've seen you.
All right, you devils. I got your souls once before. I'll get them again. They're disappearing.
Look. The whole photo mural just going. It's fading away every time you shoot.
I don't believe my eyes. I don't believe it.
The wall is white. There's not a trace of the mural left.
No one could explain what had happened. Had Elliot captured not only the souls of the natives, but the very soul of the jungle itself? Had the supposed bewitchment of the house brought it to life? Who can say? The mural is gone now, and so are Jim and Marion Sage. They put the house up for sale and bought a townhouse in the city. The last I heard, they still hadn't found a buyer. I happened by the house on Chimney Pot Lane a few weeks ago and peered through the windows. Curious. There was a pantry where I thought Jim and Marion had put in a breakfast nook, and one wall in the kitchen looked burned by a fire long ago. Well, perhaps they'll find a buyer soon. Any takers? Our cast included Marion Seldes, Terry Keane, Earl Hammond, and Sam Gray. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
CBS News. 2 major airlines are facing strike deadlines. One has arrived. The other is an hour from now. This is Doug Poling reporting on the CBS Radio Network. About 5,800 ground workers at Pan American World Airways have threatened to walk out at this hour as talks continue in New York. The company would not say if Pan Am flights will be grounded if there is a strike. An hour from now, pilots are scheduled to walk out at Northwest Airlines. Those talks broke down in Minneapolis on Friday, and pilot union spokesman Gene Cragness gave their version of why.
In actuality, the mediator delivered a demand by Northwest Airlines that we substantially pare down our list of open issues as a precondition to returning to negotiations. This demand by Northwest was totally unrealistic and unacceptable.
But Roy Erickson, vice president of Northwest, blames the union for the collapse of talks.
The breakdown was caused by the pilots' union refusal to submit a written listing of unresolved issues together with the union's position position on these open issues in rejecting the National Mediation Board's request. Pilots Union officials have made it impossible for constructive talks to continue at this time.
Northwest is the nation's 7th largest airline, flying about 10 million passengers a year. More news in a moment.
Say, have you heard the latest on Delta Super Saver fares?
I know, I can't believe it. They're so low.
Well, believe it. If you catch a Delta night coach, you can fly for 40 to 50% off the regular day tourist fare on round trips.
40% off on weekends, and wow, 50% off on weekdays.
Or if you take a daytime flight, you can get 30 to 40% off regular day tourist on Delta round trips.
Isn't it something? 30% off on weekends and 40% off on weekdays? I love it.
Yeah, no big strings either. You just make your reservation and buy your ticket 30 days ahead of time and stay for 7 to 45 days at wherever you're going. Super Saver fares are good to any Delta city in the U.S. Of course, there's a limited number of seats.
Oh, I better call Delta or the travel agent now.
When fares get this low, you just gotta go.
FBI Director William Webster says the Bureau is investigating 574 cases involving possible corruption by past and present public officials. Webster did not name any of them. He said the investigations date back 3 to 4 years and involve senators, congressmen, governors, state legislators, mayors, and local police officials. The chairman of a House subcommittee that oversees the FBI says Webster's statement slanders hundreds of unnamed public officials. Democrat Don Edwards of California says he'll take action.
We'll have Director Webster at a hearing very soon and ask him why he is following this course of conduct, because I'm sure that all the members of the subcommittee and indeed the full committee will disagree strongly with this kind of behavior.
Edwards says Webster's statement smacks of McCarthyism. In Seoul, sources at the South Korean Foreign Ministry have told CBS News the pilot and the navigator from a Korean airliner downed in Russia will be turned over to the U.S. consul in Leningrad about midday Saturday. Soviet authorities held the 2 crewmen for questioning when they released the passengers and the rest of the crew last Sunday. The Korean jet was forced down by Soviet military planes after straying into Soviet territory last week. A New York congressman says the forced resignation of Major General John Singlab is a frightening and disturbing development that places a cloud over the leadership of the Army, the Pentagon, and the White House. Democrat Samuel Stratton, chairman of the Armed Services Subcommittee on Investigations, says military officers should not be fired for expressing the truth. Singlab was called to the Pentagon Friday after he criticized President Carter's decision not to build the neutron bomb. Shortly after his meeting with top brass, he announced his retirement. Friday night, Singlab said in Atlanta, "I have no regrets." Funeral services are to begin Saturday for the victims of the scaffolding collapse that killed 51 workers Thursday near St. Mary's, Virginia. Services are expected to continue until Tuesday. Federal safety officials are saying it could be several weeks before they're able to determine what caused the scaffolding to fall. A Chicago woman has been indicted and jailed on more than 500 counts of welfare fraud. She was charged with using 5 names to obtain $118,000 in welfare funds over a period of nearly 6 years. The Cook County Attorney's Office said this is the biggest welfare fraud case in Illinois history. The woman, 30-year-old Arlene Otis, is a University of Illinois graduate student in criminal justice.
This is Doug Poling, CBS News.
I'm E.G. Marshall. I have the lunch all packed, and I'm ready to take you on a picnic in the woods. There's a beautiful little glade deep in the forest. Birds singing, that wonderful clean aroma of fresh growth mixed with leaf mold and last year's pine needles. The cool touch of grass to your bare feet, if you care to take your shoes off. Doesn't sound very mysterious? Doesn't frighten you? Well, stay with us. It will. Our mystery drama, Stay Out of Dutchman's Woods, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Field and Farrington and stars Paul Hecht.
I think you'll agree there's nothing more delightful than that first day of vacation. You've shucked off all your cares. Your freedom is still new and exhilarating. Your inevitable return to workaday things is too far in the future to dampen your high spirits. Of course, vacations, like other pleasant-seeming prospects, may take unpredictable turns. You just can't look more than a few seconds into the future without facing an uncertainty. Ronnie and Peg Andrews have driven all day to get to their chosen vacation spot in the Maine North Woods. But are they tired?
How about down by the old mill stream? I think I can even do a pretty good tenor on part of that one. Down by the old
Oh, Ronnie,
mill.
I love you dearly, for better or worse, like I told the man. But if you hit one more sour note, I'm going to get out of this car and walk the rest of the way.
You know what your trouble is, Peg? You got a tin ear.
How far do you think we are from the inn?
Oh, can't be more than a few miles now. You tired?
Not really. I don't know. We've been driving through this forest for miles. Sort of gives me the creeps. So dark and gloomy.
The creeps? You're kidding. It's absolutely beautiful.
In a way. But it looks so... I don't know. Brooding.
Contrast, that's all. The sun's so bright where it gets through to the road, it makes the woods seem dark.
What are you doing?
I just want to show you. 10 steps into the woods and you'll see there's nothing gloomy about it. It's just the contrast.
I don't want to go in there, Ronnie.
Oh, well. Okay. We can come back another day. Maybe tomorrow. It really is a beautiful forest. We could bring a picnic lunch.
Well, okay. Maybe it'll look better to me tomorrow.
Be right with you.
Oh, I love it, Ronnie. I just love it. It really looks the way a cliffside inn ought to look. Even nicer than Bill and Edna said.
Isolated, that's for sure.
Now, you'd be Mr. and Mrs. Andrews, wouldn't you?
That's right. We have reservations.
Good thing you made them, too. We might just have closed down. And a season for us.
Are we the only guests?
Only ones. My name's Lou Griffin. I'm the proprietor. Sarah.
Come in. I was just putting up a fresh pot of coffee. Figured we'd be wanting some, long trip and all.
I thought I smelled coffee. Just what I need.
Now, I hope you ain't disappointed in the place, Miss Andrews.
Disappointed? I adore it. It's even nicer than Bill and Edna told us. Bill and Edna White. They were up here earlier in the summer.
White? What? Oh, yes. They're the couple with the two young boys, huh?
Ken and Eddie, yes.
Never did see two young'uns could be in so many different places at one time. I've been thinking some about seeing if I can't get hold of some hex signs to keep young'uns out next season.
I noticed the hex signs. Outside and even in here.
Yeah? Anything we got plenty of, it's hex signs.
Are they just for decoration, or do you really mean them to keep evil spirits away?
Oh, they're just for what you call color.
And it don't hurt to be on the safe side.
What do you mean?
Maybe there's evil spirits, maybe there ain't. Maybe they want to get in, maybe they don't. But I never heard of a hex sign doing any harm.
Morning, Mr. Griffin.
Morning. Sarah, you can put the eggs on now. Lou and Sarah, what we like to be called. Friendlier that way.
Okay, we're Peg and Ronnie.
I brought your coffee out. Eggs won't be ready for a minute or so. I brought you a cup, too, Lou.
Fine, as long as these good folks don't mind me sitting down with them.
Oh, no, please do.
I'll be right out with the rest. All ready but the eggs.
How are you folks planning to spend the day?
Well, we had a discussion about that, and I won.
He wants to take a hike into the woods.
Dutchman's Woods?
Oh, is that what they're called?
I wouldn't go in there if I was you.
You wouldn't?
Folks get lost in there. Been a lot of that.
Oh, we won't get lost. I have a very good sense of direction.
But all the same, you take my advice. You stay out of Dutchman's Woods.
See, Ronnie?
Oh, that's ridiculous. We can take care of ourselves. We're not going to get lost.
Nobody aims to, of course. Folks do it, though.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if Mrs. Griffin, Sarah, would be willing to put up a picnic lunch for us.
Oh, she'll fix you up something for lunch. No trouble about that. Only thing is...
Oh, we'll be very careful.
Well, I'll just go to talk to Sarah about the lunch then.
Thanks.
But if I was you, I'd stay out of Dutchman's woods.
Oh, Ronnie, I'm hungry and I'm tired. Some kind of bug bit me on the arm. And I want a sandwich and then I want to go home. This place gives me the creeps.
I can't understand you, Peg. We've taken hikes in the woods before. You never acted like this.
I know, I don't really understand it either. There's just something about this place. Can't explain it any better than that.
Hey, look up ahead. Hey, there's a clearing up there.
Sunlight. Oh, I didn't think I'd ever live to see it again.
Oh, don't be a nut. Maybe it's a good place to stop for lunch. Come on. Hey, look. Hey, it's like a garden, isn't it?
It's pretty, all right. Especially after all that gloom.
Hey, look, we can spread the cloth Sarah gave us on that flat rock, eh? All the comforts of home.
And then after we eat, we go home. Right back the way we came.
Yeah, except that you're pointing in the wrong direction, Peg.
I am not. We just came right out between those two bushes.
Between those two bushes. Huh. All I can say is it's a good thing you married a man who can find his way around.
Ronnie, I'm sure. I'm really just as sure as can be.
Yeah, well, don't worry about a thing. They don't call me Ron the Pathfinder for nothing. Well, come on, let's eat.
Okay. But I could have sworn.
Lou Griffin, do you mean to sit there and tell me you let them two wander off into Dutchman's woods?
Wasn't a matter of letting them, Sarah. Dead set on it they were. He was anyhow.
Oh, if I'd known where them two was fixing to go, I never would have put up that lunch for them.
I tried to talk them out of it. She didn't much want to go in the first place. But he wouldn't budge an inch.
You could have told them the truth about that place.
And got nothing from my trouble but laughed at telling a tale like that. No, sir. Comes to talk about Dutchman's woods. I'm on my own business.
Ronnie, will you stop and listen to me?
Oh, all right.
Ronnie, the underbrush wasn't this thick before. It didn't come this way.
Well, I have to admit, I don't remember it being quite this overgrown before. But I know we're going in the right direction. I'm very sure of that now, Peg.
You're not sure at all, are you, Ronnie?
Well, maybe I am just a little disoriented.
Lost, I think, would be the word.
Well, all right, I'm lost. If you like it better that way. It's not as if we were lost in an African jungle or something with wilderness for miles around. We're in a tame woods in Maine. There's no cause to panic.
I'm not panicking, Ronnie. Let's go back, shall we? See if we can find the clearing where we had lunch.
Oh, all right.
Ronnie, I think it's over this way. I'm sure we weren't coming from that direction before.
Oh, all right. All right.
Oh, I've got to stop and catch my breath, Ronnie. Oh, we can't be far from the clearing now, can we?
No, I wouldn't think so. I believe we passed that rowan tree over there when we came this way before.
That's west, Ronnie, right into the sun.
So?
Don't you think we ought to keep walking east? I mean, the road is east of here. We know that. It doesn't really matter where we come out on the road, does it? As long as we do come out.
Oh, okay. Well, you feel rested now?
Oh, enough.
That you, Lou?
It's me.
Oh, did you see anything of them?
Seen their car parked there alongside the woods.
Oh.
They're lost, all right.
Well, why didn't you keep on looking? Did you go into the woods?
Oh, a few steps here and there. Not very far in.
Oh, land's sakes, how do you expect to find somebody that's lost in the woods if you don't go into the woods?
Well, do you think he was aiming to get rid of me or something? Way you keep trying to run me off into them woods.
Well, them young folks is our responsibility, Lou.
Ronnie, is it late enough to start getting dark?
No, not yet. It's not quite 5 yet.
Well, then why is it getting dark?
Well, maybe it's going to rain, Peg.
Oh, Lord, that's all we need.
The worst of it is, without the sun to guide us, we can't be sure we're still going east.
It's getting cold, too.
Yeah.
Ronnie,
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Oh, don't be frightened, Peg. There's really no reason to be. Sure, we're lost, and it's going to be inconvenient as hell. If it starts raining, we're going to get drenched and be damned uncomfortable, but there's nothing to be scared of.
Well, I am scared all the same.
Oh, now, come on, let's keep moving. The underbrush has thinned out some, at least, and I'm pretty sure we're still going east. You were right about that. If we keep going on east, we can't miss the road. So, we're really not in such bad shape as we... Hey, Peg, there's a clearing up ahead. What do you want to bet it's ours? Peg? Peg, where are you? Peg?
Isn't that a clearing over there, Ronnie? Oh, it must be. It's lighter in there. And... Ronnie? Ronnie, don't play games with me. I'm scared enough already. Ronnie? Where are you hiding? Ronnie!
Peg! Answer me, Peg. Answer me, will you?
Ronnie?
Peg? Peg, is that you?
Over this way, Ronnie. That's right. Ronnie, over this way. Yes, that's fine. Keep on just the way you're going. There. Hello, Ronnie.
You aren't Peg.
Of course I'm not, but won't I do? Don't you think I'm as beautiful as she is?
Well, I was looking for...
Don't you, Ronnie?
Well, I think you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Sirens abound in legend and folklore, and, if I may say so without starting a controversy, they're not unheard of even in real life. Few men, no matter how virtuous, are completely siren-proof. So, if there's a siren operating deep in the Maine woods, it shouldn't surprise us too much. The question is, will she lead, or try to lead, Ronnie Andrews to his destruction? We'll investigate further when I return with Act 2. On the first day of their stay at Lou Griffin's Cliffside Inn, Ronnie and Peg Andrews decided to take a picnic lunch and go exploring Dutchman's woods. As Lou had warned them, this turned out to be a mistake. First, they lost their way, and then they became mysteriously separated. In searching for Peg, Ronnie has come upon a strange and extraordinarily beautiful woman. In fact, almost his first words to her were,
I think you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Thank you.
And you must be as good as you are beautiful, so I'm sure you'll help me.
Of course.
My wife and I, Peg, my wife and I, we lost our way in the woods earlier in the day, and well, we've been wandering around in circles, I guess, all afternoon.
People do get lost in Dutchman's woods. Didn't anybody tell you?
Oh, yeah, but, well, you see, I wanted to come anyway. It was, I don't know, it was as if the woods drew me.
I understand.
Yeah, and then somehow Peg and I got separated, and, well, now I can't find her. Do you know the woods well?
I know every tree, every stone, every flower, every path. Oh, yes. I know Dutchman's woods.
Great. Will you please help me find my wife?
My name's Katrina. Last names aren't important, are they? We'll just be
Ronnie and Katrina.
Yeah, well, I'm very glad to know you, Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't far from here, the place where my wife and I got separated.
Ronnie and Katrina. Would you like to see my house?
House?
Hmm.
Oh, you mean you have a house in the middle of this jungle?
A very beautiful house, yes. Come, I'll show it to you.
Oh, thanks very much, but maybe Peg and I could see it together after we found her. I just can't go wandering off with you while Peg's lost somewhere and probably looking for me right this minute.
You must be hungry. You can have dinner with me, Ronnie. And I'll give you some of my special wine.
Aren't you listening to me? My wife is lost. I can't just leave her out there. I gotta find
Will
her.
you please stop talking about that woman? It's very rude of you, talking to me about another woman. I won't have it.
Now, look, I don't think you understand. My wife and I got separated somehow in the woods.
I'm not looking for her.
Oh, well, you can't mean that you would...
I've offered you my hospitality. I've said I'd give you dinner, and I've even asked you to have my wine. I'm very angry with you, Ronnie.
Please, I'm begging you. Well, why won't you help me?
If you wish to come with me, perhaps I'll help you find your wife later on. You'll never find her without my help, I promise you that. Well, I must be going. You're making a very stupid mistake. But if you don't know any better...
Katrina, wait.
Are you coming with me?
Oh, well... Oh, yes, all right. I'll come with you.
Ronnie! Ronnie, can't you hear me? I found the road, Ronnie. I found the car. I'm going back to the inn now for help. Try to find shelter from the rain, Ronnie. And don't.
Lou, wake up.
Hmm? What the...
Lou, it's pretty near 11 o'clock. And them two ain't back yet.
What do we... Oh, well... We knew they was lost.
It's still raining. It's turned cold as winter just about. And them two lost out there.
Funny thing, she ain't back yet. Did not expect him. But you think...
If you think I'm going to let you go back to sleep again, if you got another think coming, turn that lamp on, will you? I'm going to get up. Maybe put on a pot of fresh coffee. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah? Well, I expect a glass of Applejack would do me a lot more good.
Lou, all you had to do was just tell them.
Think he'd believe a tale like that? Put up in the city? Laughed right in my face, he would have.
No. I wish you'd told them.
Sarah, we don't even know if it's true. We know men get lost. That we do know. But we don't know why they get lost. I couldn't tell that story as gospel. Who's that?
Lou! Sarah! Oh, somebody help me.
We're coming, Peg. Now, bawling about it ain't going to do no good, Peg. Whatever it is, what happened?
I can't find him. I can't find him anywhere. Somebody has to help.
Yes, sir. Happens every time, mighty near.
We were standing right there together, and then all of a sudden he just wasn't there. He wasn't there.
You better come back in the kitchen and have a nice cup of hot coffee, Peg.
Oh, no, there's no time. We have to find Ronnie. Lou, will you help me look for him? Oh, somebody has to help me.
Yes, I'll go with you.
Would appreciate it.
What if you get lost?
Women don't. Peg found her way home all right, didn't she? And I've been in them woods before.
I just can't understand it. You know, I thought at first he was hiding from me, playing some silly kind of game. And he was there, and then he wasn't. 2 seconds later.
I told him not to go into them woods. You gotta admit, I told him. Men just ain't safe in Dutchman's woods.
You see that big boulder just ahead, Ronnie?
Yeah, the one shaped sort of like a boat?
Yeah. Just when you go around to the left of it, you can see the house. Take my hand.
Oh, all right. Katrina.
Yes?
We are going to look for Peg, aren't we? I mean, afterwards. After I've seen your house and had some of this wine of yours.
You can be so tiresome.
Well, I'm sorry.
Just a minute now. There.
I don't believe it.
I knew you'd be surprised. The others always have been.
Others?
Well, you don't think you're the first guest I've ever had, do you? All I meant was nobody ever expects to find a house like this out in the middle of the woods.
Oh, gee, it isn't a house at all, is it? It's a castle.
It really is. A perfect replica of one, anyway. My husband had it built exactly like a castle in... Oh, I don't remember. Somewhere in Holland.
Your husband?
You're so jumpy. He's been dead for years.
I can't figure out how we missed seeing this place from the road when we drove in yesterday.
Peg, you feel like you're up to it. Back into them woods and all.
Oh, yes. I think we ought to go right now. I mean, the longer we wait...
I think maybe we'd better take this with us.
Hex sign? What's it supposed to do?
It's a strong one, this here. It's meant to ward off witches and evil spirits and, well, just about anything else that walks the night. Well, like Lou says, it don't hurt to be on the safe side. Come, let's get out of here. If you ever find that man of yours standing around here telling old wives' tales. Here you are, Ronnie. A glass of the most unusual wine you've ever tasted.
Aren't you having any?
Oh, no, not just now. Well, no, don't sip it, Ronnie. Drink it right down.
Doesn't really taste like wine after all.
You don't like my wine?
No. I didn't mean that. It's just that... Oh, yeah. Now it does. It leaves a very pleasant aftertaste.
Exactly. You can have another glass when we go in for dinner. You know.
Well, what I really ought to do is...
The thing that makes my wine so different is a special ingredient. I'm not sure you can find it anywhere at all except right here in Dutchman's woods. It grows wild, like the grapes. All the ingredients I use to make the wine grow wild.
I have to go out later and find Peg. Can't just leave Peg wandering around out there.
Of course not. But would you like to come inside now, Ronnie?
Sure, why not?
Can you point out where it was you stopped the car and went into the woods, Peg?
I'm not sure. It all sort of looks alike.
Well, no matter. You mustn't think ill of Lou because he didn't want to come out and help you look for your husband, Peg.
Well, it did seem odd.
See, he knows I'm safe enough. It's only men that get lost in Dutchman's woods.
But that doesn't make sense.
Well, it does if you know the story. Katrina's got no interest in women.
Katrina?
She's the cause of it all, if there's any truth in the tale they tell.
When men get lost in the woods, they don't just disappear, do they? I mean, they're found eventually, aren't they?
Oh, they're found all right, what's left of them.
What do you mean?
Well, now, I shouldn't have said that, but the truth is, they're found dead. Now, it's going to be different with Ronnie, Peg, and you got to believe that.
Dead of what?
Oh, exposure, sometimes starvation. Whatever it is that kills people lost in the woods. Though if you ask me, there's a whole lot more to it than that. You like my house, Ronnie?
Oh, yeah. It's extraordinary, Katrina. This is the most extraordinary house I ever saw.
At first, I didn't like it. Can you believe that? I thought it was too far away from everybody and everything, and I hated my husband for making me live in it.
Oh, yeah, your husband. Hey, he's dead, did you say?
Oh, yes, a long time ago.
My wife is alive. She's lost in the woods, but she's alive.
Drink your wine, Ronnie.
Oh, yeah, I'm so sleepy.
Wait until you see the banquet hall. Do you know I could seat over 100 people if I wanted to? But I like to entertain one at a time. Just one at a time.
3 is a... What is it 3 is? Oh, a crowd.
Exactly. We're going to like each other, aren't we, Ronnie? Are you sleepy, Ronnie? You know you're quite handsome. They used to call me a witch a long time ago. People believed in things more then. Oh, yes, you're very handsome. I may keep you for quite a long time. Several weeks, even. Oh, yes, that would be nice.
A bleak, rainy night in a dense forest that already has an evil reputation. A good time and place for unnatural goings-on. Well, there's a good deal going on in Dutchman's woods that seems unnatural. If you accept Webster's definition of natural, occurring in conformity with the ordinary course of nature, Webster says. The abrupt and unexplained separation of Ronnie from Peg doesn't seem to qualify as natural, according to that definition. I'll be back shortly with Act 3. A beautiful woman named Katrina has lured Ronnie Andrews into her castle-like stronghold and plied him with wine, which she herself describes as most unusual. Peg, Ronnie's wife, along with Sarah Griffin, have gone into Dutchman's woods looking for Ronnie. Peg still thinks of Ronnie as simply lost in the woods on a miserable rainy night. But Sarah obviously knows or suspects a lot more than she's telling.
You shine your flashlight round about, Peg, and I keep mine straight ahead so I can see where we're going.
All right. Ronnie?
Oh, I don't know as it'll do much good to keep on calling for him.
Sarah, what did you mean when you said somebody called Katrina was the cause of it all?
That's a long story, that one. It don't seem like a very good time to go into it right now.
I want to know.
Well, yes, I guess you would.
Sarah, tell me.
I guess I ought to, yes, now that I've gone this far. Keep on flashing your light around.
Yes, I will.
Well, it starts back a long while ago. Not much after the Revolution was over.
The American Revolution?
That's the one. Seems there was this man, Dutch trader, named Hans Groot. And he fell head over tea kettle in love with this young girl that was sashaying around New York society at the time. Her name was Katrina.
Katrina? But that was around the time of the Revolution, you said.
Now just keep on shining your light around now. He must have been filthy rich, this Hans Groot. He was no spring chicken at that time, and yet Katrina agreed to marry him without so much as a maybe, and her hardly out of her teens yet. So they had a big, fancy wedding and settled down in a house he'd bought in New York.
You think if we find Ronnie, he'll already
stop worrying, honey. Well, anyway, they didn't exactly live happy ever after there in that house. Katrina was a wanton. Only word that suits her. Wanton, pure, and simple. Got so she was spending more of her time with the young blades around town than she was with her own husband. And it didn't take him long to get good and sick of it.
I can't see what all this has to do with...
Well, now you asked me to tell you, Peg.
All right. I'm sorry.
But he was still as stuck on Katrina as ever. So he got a hold of this great big wooded acreage up here in Maine. Well, mighty near all woods anyway them days. And he built such a house on it as you wouldn't believe if you was to see it. Regular castle it was. Right out there, middle of the woods, millions of miles from nowhere. And he brought Katrina up here and put her in that house, and that was that, way he figured.
Here? You mean right here in this forest?
Dutchman's Woods, it's called. Hans Groot was the Dutchman. Trouble was, you see, the Dutchman himself couldn't spend his whole time in his castle. He still had his business affairs in New York. And even some interests overseas, they say. So he had to leave Katrina alone in that big old house now and again. And that Katrina, oh, she must have been a resourceful one. She found her men, all right. Was no stopping her.
Even shut up in the house, the castle?
Well, she wasn't exactly shut up in it, just didn't have no means of travel. She took to roaming around the woods. You see, there was plenty of poaching went on in them days, lots of it. So Katrina'd run across a poacher hunting on her husband's property, and she'd take him home with her, and might as well have left her in New York for all the good it done Hans Groot.
Is the castle still standing?
No, not properly speaking. Anyway, Hans Groot come home and caught Katrina with one of them poachers. And he killed them both. Katrina along with the man.
And you think the same Katrina?
That's the way the story goes. If you're superstitious enough to believe it, Katrina still walks Dutchman's woods. And any man that comes her way is fair game.
Oh, God. Oof. What in the name? How did I get into a place like this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
You fell asleep, Ronnie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have been more tired than I realized. Oh, I still feel sort of sluggish.
You were tired.
Hey, look, we've got to get moving. We've got to find Peg.
Peg? Peg, that's all I hear from you. My name is Katrina, not Peg. I'm not accustomed to having my guests talk about other women.
Well, we ought to go out and see if we can find Peg.
You'll only lose yourself again if you go out there.
But you promised you'd help me.
I didn't promise at all. She'll find her way home. She's probably back at the inn right now, safe and sound. She's a woman. I don't enjoy another woman's company. I don't want women here. Can't you understand that?
Are you saying that you cause people to get lost?
You aren't lost, Ronnie. You're here. Right in this room with me.
There's a clearing up ahead. I don't think it's the place where we had lunch, though.
No, Peg. No, it's the ruins.
The ruins?
Yeah, the place where the old castle used to stand. Ain't much left now but rubble where the masonry fell down. Mostly overgrown with weeds and vines and the like. The old foundation's still there. You can't see it too well after dark, of course.
And you think this is where?
Yes, if there is a Katrina, and if she's dragged your young man off somewhere, I'd say this is the most likely place.
Ronnie?
Now, want my opinion, it won't do a lick of good yelling for him. Let's just go hunting through the rubble.
I feel funny, Katrina. Kind of fuzzy, yeah. Oh, must be that wine of yours again.
It's partly the wine, I'm sure. But also partly just me. Oh, Ronnie, we're going to be very happy. Happier than you've ever been, I promise you that.
Is it raining outside? I can't tell. It looked like...
You're not listening to me.
Oh, yes, I am. You were talking about happiness.
You've never been happy, Ronnie. I mean, wildly happy. Happy with nothing to intrude. You've never been happy that way, have you, Ronnie?
Well, you're very beautiful.
It's all for you. Right now. Not forever, I don't promise that, but right now. You're my only reason for being beautiful.
Very beautiful. What? What was that?
We'll belong to each other. I'll be completely yours.
Listen. Somebody called me.
I have a feeling, Sarah. I have this crazy feeling that he heard me.
It's no crazier than anything else. Maybe he did.
Ronnie! Can you hear? Sarah, look. It's turning into... It's not just an old heap of... It's a castle. Sarah, can you see it? Sarah? Sarah, where are you? Oh, no, she's... Dear Lord, help me. Ronnie!
It was Peg. It was Peg calling me.
Ronnie! Get out of my house. You're not welcome here. You're an intruder. I don't allow intruders.
Peg! We're in here, Peg. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ronnie.
This way, Peg. Come toward my voice.
Stop talking to that woman. Don't come in near you. I forbid it.
Oh, Ronnie, we looked everywhere, Sarah and I. I thought I'd never see you again.
Ronnie, take your hands off that woman.
Who is this?
Oh, Katrina. Her name's Katrina. She found me in the woods. I think
You'll find out soon enough who I am, you little fool. What are you doing here?
I came here looking for my husband.
Your husband doesn't want to see you. Get out.
I'm not going to leave without him.
He doesn't want to go with you. Do you, Ronnie? You don't want to leave with her. Tell her.
You do want to come with me, don't you, Ronnie?
Well,
Ronnie, wouldn't you like another glass of wine?
I don't know. I don't...
Wine? Has he been... He doesn't drink.
No, Peg, you don't
Can't you see he doesn't want to talk to you? Why don't you leave? How can you stay where you're not wanted?
I don't know who you are. Or what you are. Whether you're a ghost or a witch. Or maybe both. I don't know and I don't care much. You're not going to take my husband away from me.
How very brave she is. And what if I tell you I am a ghost? And I am a witch? And I can destroy you both. What if I tell you that?
First, I'd have to call you a liar. Because I've never believed in such things. And then, if it should turn out you're not a liar, I'd have to say go ahead and destroy us. Both of us, though. Not just one. Both.
A liar! I'll... Ronnie, tell her to get out of here!
Peg.
Well, Ronnie...
Katrina, I can't...
What kind of a spineless creature are you? Tell her!
Peg, I want to come with you. Yes, Peg, I want to leave here and go with you.
No! All right, you witch, ghost, harlot, whatever you are. Stop us if you think you can.
I think I'm all right now, Peg. I don't know what she did to me, but...
Stop this! You stop this, both of you! Don't you know who I am? I'm Katrina. You idiots, I can bring this castle down in a heap on top of you. Don't you know that?
It's already down in a heap. I saw it.
I'll show you. I'll show you!
Peg, here! Under this table! The whole house! The whole house is coming down!
I don't think he can hurt us, Ronnie. The real house crumbled years ago.
Peg, where'd you get to?
Over here, Sarah. Help us.
Is that you, Peg? Where in the world did you... Land sakes.
Oh, it's Ronnie. Help me with him, will you?
Yes.
We've got to get him up off this wet ground. Ronnie.
Yeah, is that you, Peg?
Yes, Ronnie. Can you stand up?
Well, I think so. I feel sort of dizzy. I don't understand what
How'd you get here, anyhow? We must have walked past this spot half a dozen times. What happened to him?
I'm not quite sure. He was all right just a minute ago. I was with him in the house, the castle. He was all right except for the effects of the wine. And that seemed to be wearing
Now,
off.
just hold on a minute. You know, you ain't making no kind of sense.
I'm so cold.
Oh, he's soaked to the skin. The rain stopped, thank goodness, but we'd better get him
He was
inside.
perfectly dry a minute ago. And then the house actually did just crumble around us the way she said it would. Only, of course, it wasn't real, or we'd both be... How did he get that wet?
I hope you know what you're talking about. I sure don't.
Oh, I feel stiff. I ache all over.
We gotta get you home and into a nice, warm, dry bed before you catch your death.
The house fell down all around us, Sarah. Just the way she said it would. Only I didn't think it could hurt us because, well, you see, I knew the house had already fallen down.
Well, we must have imagined the whole thing. I must have been lying there on the ground and in the ruins the whole time.
All I know is we walked past there a half dozen times, and you wasn't there. You just wasn't. So I don't see how we can say it was all imagination.
It was real, all right. While it lasted, it was real.
Well, here's the car. Once we get you in there with the heater turned on, you'll feel a lot better, Ronnie.
I feel a lot better already.
What in the world was that?
That was your Katrina. I wouldn't be surprised.
Katrina?
I left my hex sign back there in them ruins. Reckon if it works as well as the superstitious folks claim it works, we won't be having no more trouble with Katrina.
A ghost Katrina certainly was. Any woman who was killed by a jealous husband in the 18th century and shows up again in 1975 must be considered a ghost. But is it really fair to call her a siren and a witch? By Ronnie's admission, one thing is certain. Whether Katrina was a siren, a ghost, a witch, or all three, Ronnie was lucky to get out of that one alive. I'll be back in a few moments. Ronnie and Peg spent the remainder of their vacation in Maine. It's a beautiful state. Why shouldn't they? But they gave Dutchman's woods a wide berth. To this day, when Ronnie Andrews sees more than 3 trees forming a clump, he crosses to the other side of the road. So between now and our next look into the nature of things, stay away from all suspicious-looking forests. We're saving you for another and quite different kind of jeopardy. Our cast included Paul Hecht, Jada Rowland, Santos Ortega, Joan Loring, and Mary Jane Higby. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Filling the air with bright and beautiful music. This is KIXI, AM and FM, Seattle.
CBS News. America's largest city at this hour appears but a humbled pauper with a tin cup. A potential borrower has said no. The city is only 14 hours away from going broke. I'm Jerry Landay, reporting on the CBS Radio Network. Correspondent Robert Shackney has been covering critical negotiations at the New York City office of Governor Hugh Carey and has just filed this report.
Delegates from the New York City's Teachers Union early today refused to lend New York City $100 million from the union's pension fund, and that seemed to set the stage for a major default by New York later today. Without the teacher money, the rest of the loans that the city was counting on cannot be used. That means that the city will be unable to pay off $453 million in city notes that fall due when the banks open at 9 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. In a last-minute effort to salvage the situation, financier Felix Rohatyn, acting for the city, said he was asking the teacher representatives to come back for another meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours before the banks open. Rohatyn said he was appealing to the state comptroller for extra money, also appealing to the Federal Reserve System and the federal government. At this point, it appears unlikely that there's time to get money from any of these other sources. Rohatyn said that if default should occur, among other things, in the coming week, some city workers might not be paid. Robert Shackney, CBS News, New York.
On Thursday, Vice President Nelson Rockefeller said a default by New York would have a catastrophic effect on the entire nation's economy. Women activists have won a victory in Washington, and men are among the beneficiaries. The Federal Reserve Board has spelled out a set of regulations to implement the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. The act goes into effect the end of the month. The regulations prevent lenders, banks, credit card companies, department stores, anyone who offers installment credit or loans from discriminating against applicants on the basis of sex or marital status. Neither sex can be denied loans on the basis of his or her spouse's credit rating, nor can they deny loans to working women simply because they're of childbearing age. And if loans are denied to either sex, the lender must now state why. President Ford made a highly publicized phone call Thursday to Meriden, Connecticut. On the other end was James Salamides, age 19. He's the young man who accidentally ran into Mr. Ford's armored limousine Tuesday night. Salamides describing himself as uninjured but nervous. Mr. Ford confessed he'd been jolted. There's been an observation on all this from a congressman who wants to be president, Democrat Morris Udall of Arizona.
The president makes a kind of a macho thing out of it, as though all of us in America were questioning his courage and manhood, and he has to prove it every morning by acting the part of a duck in a shooting gallery. I wish he'd stay home a little more often and do a little more work and protect himself. I don't want to see the American people go through any more trauma of the kind we've had in the last 10 years.
That comment from Udall in a Tucson, Arizona news conference. Starting the first of the year, nearly 6 million federal employees will have to pay more for their Blue Cross Blue Shield medical coverage, 35% more. 2 American scientists who've won the Nobel Prize for Medicine say their work on the links between viruses and cancer have convinced them to look elsewhere for the primary causes of malignancy. Dr. Howard Temin of the University of Wisconsin and Dr. David Baltimore of MIT suggest research money would be better spent probing chemical causes of cancer in the environment, in cigarettes, in agents such as asbestos. I'm Jerry Landay, CBS News.
Tony Perez broke his hitting slump Thursday night, belting 2 homers and leading the Cincinnati Reds to a 6-2 win over the Boston Red Sox in Game 5 of the World Series. Cincinnati has now won 3 games. Boston has 2 wins. Game 6 is scheduled for Saturday in Boston. Doug Poling, CBS News.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. You've come to the right place. Here we present a unique kind of drama. Drama that uses your ears to stimulate your fears. The story you're about to hear concerns another part of the human anatomy. It's a tale about a very frightening pair of hands. Not because they're ugly or mutilated, or because they do evil things. On the contrary, the hands of our heroine do nothing at all. And therein lies her terror. But there's one other subject our story deals with, and it's the most mysterious of all, the human mind. Our mystery drama, The Hands of Mrs. Mallory, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Henry Slessor and stars Celeste Holm. Think of the most beautiful day you can imagine. A day so perfect that the birds are singing its praises. And even the people who line the park benches, those roosting creatures who seem to exist in a vacuum without emotion, seem happy and contented today. But there's one exception. A lady of middle years who sits alone on a bench. Is it her glum expression that has driven away other people? Or perhaps it's the obvious elegance of her mink stole and the glistening perfection of the diamond on her finger.
Hey, lady, is this seat taken?
No.
It's okay if I sit here and wait for my brother? He's playing in the ball game.
How nice.
He plays first base. Hey, you want to see my baseball?
Not especially.
It's got Reggie Jackson's autograph on it. Here, look at it.
No, please, I really don't know.
What's the matter with your hands?
Nothing. They're just a little stiff, that's all. Now, why don't you go watch your brother play?
Well, he says I jinx him. Gee, your hands look funny. I mean, can't you move them at all?
No. As a matter of fact, I can't.
Gee, that's funny. I never saw anything like that. How come you can't move your hands?
It's a kind of a sickness. You wouldn't understand.
But maybe if you explained it to me, I would.
Yes. If I could explain it to you, son, I would be very happy to do so. You don't know how happy.
Come in, Ida. Have a seat.
I always feel so guilty when I take your time. Each examination seems to produce exactly the same result.
Well, that's no reason not to keep examining you.
Then there isn't any change.
No, Ida. No change. What have you been doing lately?
Well, I've been sitting in the park a lot.
I see.
It's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? I have this glamorous terrace. I could sit there like a queen and view the whole park and all the people in it. But I prefer to sit on a bench and watch the squirrels and listen to the children.
Oh, I think that's a good thing, frankly. To be on the ground, in touch with things.
Herbert never believed in that. Herbert liked to get away from the smell of the crowd. Yes, that was the phrase he always used, the smell of the crowd. My husband knew a great number of unkind phrases.
Well, I never knew him, of course.
No. Neither did I suppose. Even when he was lying in his coffin, I felt as though I were saying goodbye to a stranger.
And after Mr. Mallory died, how soon after that did the paralysis set in?
Oh, it was about a month. Yes, a month after, I suppose.
That soon?
Yes.
And now it's been how long since you haven't been able to move your hands?
5 years. Can you believe it, Doctor? I can't. After the first 6 months of this terrible paralysis, I thought I couldn't go on living with these stone fingers of mine. I thought it would be preferable to be dead.
But you never lost hope of a cure.
No. I mean, that's what's kept me going. The hope of a cure. Oh, and something else. I suppose one must say a kind word for money. If there was one thing Herbert did in his life, he managed to leave a very rich widow behind him.
Ida, I hope you won't misunderstand what I'm going to say.
Doctor, you don't have to say it. I know what comes next. You're going to advise me to get out of myself, to stop thinking about my poor hands and think about other people. Charity work.
Well, Ida, that's one suggestion.
Oh, if you knew how many charity committees use my name, or how many thousands of dollars I give to every foundation with an impressive name.
Ida, I was going to talk about going back to that psychiatrist.
Oh, that.
I honestly think you gave up too soon. If you'd given the man a chance...
Dr. Merritt, my hands are paralyzed. I'm not imagining it. They're paralyzed, frozen, insensitive. You've made all the tests yourself. Do you think I've been faking?
No, of course not. The illness is genuine, but sometimes the origin of an illness of this nature can...
It's all in the mind. Yes, of course. All in the mind. So easy to say that, isn't it? So many doctors have told me the same thing. It's so much easier to blame my mind than their own failure.
Ida, please.
Doctor, excuse me. It's time for me to go. You've got lots of patients waiting for you. Some of them you might even help.
Hey, hi.
Oh, it's you again. Waiting for your brother?
Nah, he's not playing today.
Oh, that's too bad. It's a lovely day.
He broke his leg.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Hey, is that what happened to your hands? I mean, did they get broken?
Something like that.
Well, do you feel anything at all? I mean, like your fingers?
You're a very curious boy. Did anyone ever tell you that?
Can I just touch him, lady? Please?
No, please don't.
Hey, you kid. Now cut that out.
Well,
Stop bothering this lady, you hear me?
I wasn't bothering her.
All right, now go on, get out of here, leave her alone.
Okay. I just wanted to touch her hands.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I just couldn't help overhearing.
Thank you. He was getting a little too bothersome, although I'm sure he didn't mean any harm.
Well, I could see that you were getting annoyed.
Ted?
Oh, yes, I'm over here, Melinda.
Lend me a hand, huh? I can't manage 2 hot dogs and a bag of peanuts and 2 crutches at the same time.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Excuse me, ma'am.
Oh, this one's yours, with the mustard.
Thanks.
But do you think I could sit down?
Of course.
Ted, would you grab that crutch?
Yeah, I got it. Listen, I told you that I'd get the hot dogs. I mean, you didn't have to be quite so independent.
That's funny.
You're always complaining that I'm not independent enough. Oh, am I crowding you, ma'am?
Oh, no. Plenty of room.
Ted, who was that boy I saw running off?
Oh, I drove him off. He was bothering this woman.
Oh, dear. Oh, are you all right?
Oh, yes, I'm fine. As a matter of fact, he was telling me about his brother's accident. He hurt his foot. I guess this must be the season for accidents.
You mean these crutches? I'm afraid that was another season.
Hey, gee, it's warm, isn't it? Huh? For this time of year?
Of course, you're warm. Saving fair damsels and all that stuff. I didn't know you were a regular St. George, Ted.
Yeah, sure I am, with kid dragons. Would you like some peanuts, ma'am? We've been trying to give them away to the squirrels all day, but we haven't seen any.
No, thank you. I don't like peanuts very much. I can't imagine what squirrels see in them.
Don't worry. My brother will happily eat them all by himself.
Your brother?
I'm Melinda West. This is my brother, Ted.
And my name is Mrs. Mallory.
How'd you do?
Haven't I seen you two here before?
Oh, you probably have. We live close to the park. Are you from around here, Mrs. Mallory?
Oh, yes. I live in that building right there.
Oh.
What a view you must have. Can you see the park from your window?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, if I had a window like that, I'd never come down to the park. Well, of course, these crutches sort of discourage you walking around very much.
Do you both live in the city?
No, we're from Ohio. We've only been here about 2 months, but I guess we'll be going back soon.
Don't say that. Don't even think that, Ted, please.
I'm sorry, Melinda. I didn't mean to...
I gather that you don't want to leave.
Well, not if it means that... Well, the truth is we came here to see a doctor, a surgeon who specializes in cases like mine. You see, I was in an automobile accident 2 years ago. I haven't walked since.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I know exactly how you must feel.
Well, people always think they do, but they really can't.
Melinda.
What? I think your brother is trying to signal you, Melinda, about me.
What do you mean?
He means these. My hands.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize.
No, some people don't realize that I can't move them. See, as long as I sit here very quietly, my whole body is as immobilized as my hands.
Yes. Now I know what you mean. I know how tempting it is to just want to sit, be a statue, so that for a little while you can forget that part of you is dead.
Oh, come on, Melinda, please. Let's cut this out, huh?
Please, tell me more about this surgeon.
I can tell you what he said in one word. 1 2-letter word.
Oh, dear. He won't operate, then?
He said it wouldn't do any good.
He turned us down flat. That's why I want Melinda to let me take her back home.
Oh, well, do you have parents there?
No, we have no one. But I don't want to go back. I don't. I want to see...
What were you going to say?
Never mind, Mrs. Mallory. Now, come on, Melinda. You finished your hot dog. Let's go home.
Ted, let me tell her. Let me ask
her. For Pete's sake, what kind of nonsense is this? What do you want to bother the woman for?
Because there's no one else I can talk to about Dr. Griff. I can't talk to you about him. You just get red in the face and stomp away from me.
There's nothing to talk about, and I'm sure Mrs. Mallory isn't interested in fairy stories.
I really don't know what either one of you is talking about. Who is Dr. Griff?
Oh, he's a quack, a phony.
Ted.
Well, that's all he is. A 2-bit faith healer who robs every cripple he can get his hands on.
You don't know anything about him. You only met him once.
Yeah, well, that was enough. I could tell in 1 second that the man is a fake. He can't cure a broken spine.
But why not let him try? Somebody has to try. I don't want to be the way I am. Oh, Mrs. Mallory, I don't want to be this way. Help me. Help me, please.
Well, Mrs. Mallory's physician would be very pleased right now. At last, his patient seems to be taking his advice to interest herself in the outside world, in problems other than her own. But how involved will those problems become? We'll wait to find out until I return shortly with Act 2. The good weather is holding in the city, and Mrs. Ida Mallory has returned day after day to her bench in the park, a bench which seems to have become her property by right of eminent domain. But even Mrs. Mallory would have to admit that her interest in these daily visits is no longer restricted to sunshine and green grass. Each day she hopes for another glimpse of the young couple, the scowling brother and his pretty, pathetic sister. And then, on the fourth day, there they were.
Excuse me. I don't know if you'll remember me.
Why, of course. You're Mrs. Mallory, the lady with the view.
Yes, that's right. How are you both?
Oh, we're okay.
Well, I really didn't mean to interrupt your conversation.
Oh, don't be concerned about the way Ted looks. His face always is like a thundercloud, especially when we discuss the forbidden topic.
I suppose you mean that doctor.
Yeah, she talked me into seeing him again. You know something? Every feeling I had about him the first time was confirmed.
That's really impossible, Mrs. Mallory.
Tell me something. Is he a real doctor?
Well, I'm not sure he's a medical doctor, Mrs. Mallory, but I'm sure he's entitled to the degree. Maybe a doctor of psychology or something like that.
I'll tell you what he's entitled to, a good swift kick in
But
the...
I'll tell you one thing about Dr. Griff. He's the only one who said he could help me.
He didn't promise. He just said he was hopeful.
Well, that's something anyway.
Yeah, I'll tell you what he's hopeful about, getting your $500.
He says he's very hopeful I can be cured. And that's worth a great deal more than $500.
All right, go on. Tell her the rest. Tell her the real clincher. Or you afraid to?
What do you mean?
Mrs. Mallory, you're an intelligent woman. So listen to how Dr. Griff plans to cure my sister.
I know it sounds sort of melodramatic.
Oh, it's idiotic. That's what it is.
Please, I'd still like to know.
Well, he says he uses something called the water of faith.
See what I mean?
The water of faith? Sounds sort of, religious. Like, the holy water at Lourdes.
It's related to that, yes.
Oh, now do you see why I say the guy is an out-and-out fraud? The water of faith. Where are we? Back in the Middle Ages?
Well, I must admit it does sound sort of odd.
Just the same. He said that it works. That it's worked for dozens of people. He wants $500 for the treatment.
With no guarantees, you understand. Oh, Mrs. Mallory, would you help me, please? Will you talk some sense to this woman?
Oh, my dear. I mean, I have to admit it really doesn't sound reasonable.
You mean the $500? Oh, but it's a very special treatment, Dr. Griff said.
Well, I meant it's not reasonable to assume that such things can do any good.
I see. So I'll never know. Is that it? I'll just turn around and take a plane back to Ohio and live out the rest of my life as a cripple. When for $500, at least I might have had a chance to live.
Yes, I see what you mean. Ted. Oh, I hope you don't mind my calling you Ted.
Oh, no, of course not.
Your sister, well, she may have a point there. I mean, even if it is a waste of money, perhaps she'll never be happy unless you let this man try. If not, she'll always wonder about it. Always.
Yes, I know that. That's what his whole bag is, making you wonder if it just might work.
And, well, about the money, I don't know how to say this, but you see, $500 may seem like a lot to you, but it isn't to me. So if I can help you...
Oh, no, please, absolutely not.
It's not really a problem, Mrs. Mallory. We've got the money.
Besides, it's not the money so much as, well, seeing Melinda disappointed again.
I've had so many disappointments, you see.
Yes, I know all about such things.
Oh, dear. Yes, of course you do. Oh, you see what a selfish person I've become. I keep forgetting that you have your own affliction. I'm not sure that it isn't even worse than mine. To lose the use of your hands.
Well, never mind about me. What are you two going to do?
Oh, it looks like I'm outnumbered on this thing.
Ted, does that mean you'll let me do it? You'll let me?
Well, if you go back without trying this dumb water of faith, you'll always regret it, so, okay, let's get it over with.
Oh, Mrs. Mallory. Oh, thank you. You're the one who did it.
Oh, my dear. I just hope your miracle happens. All my life, I wanted to believe that miracles happen. Melinda? Wait a minute. Well, you move faster on those crutches than I do on my 2 feet. You're not here alone, are you?
No, Ted's with me. I just wanted to take a little stroll by myself. No, that isn't true. We just had another fight, and I had to get away from him.
Oh, dear. Now, that doesn't sound too good.
Well, you know how Ted is.
Well, see, I haven't seen you for 2 days. How are you?
The truth is, I don't really know. But I started treatments, Mrs. Mallory.
With Dr. Griff?
Yes. I started about 5 days ago. And it's nothing at all like what I expected.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, you remember how silly it all sounded, this water of faith business?
Well, it sounded a little theatrical.
But it isn't. It's scientific, Mrs. Mallory. That's the most wonderful part of it. Dr. Griff only used that phrase as a convenient description of the drug.
What drug is that?
Well, maybe I shouldn't tell you this.
Why not?
Oh, I don't know. I have the feeling that there might be something slightly illegal about it. The drug he uses. A psychedelic suggestion.
Psychedelic suggestion? Now, what on earth is that?
It's the technique Dr. Griff uses. He uses it to liberate the mind from its control over the body whenever that control is negative.
I'm sorry. I really don't understand that kind of talk.
Well, I'm not saying I understand it myself completely.
But it does sound to me as if he believes that your illness is psychosomatic.
I don't know, Mrs. Mallory. All I know is that I have to go through with it. Kill or cure.
It isn't a dangerous treatment, is it?
No, I'm sure it isn't. It's more like a sort of a hypnosis. I go to his office, he administers the drug, and then he talks to me. And that's all there is to it.
And? Has it helped?
I think I'd better go back to Ted. He's probably getting worried about me.
Melinda, please tell me if... Melinda, look out! That bicycle! Melinda.
I'm sorry, miss. I'm sorry.
Melinda, are you all right?
Oh, here, let me help you up, miss.
Oh, you idiot. I mean, can't you see that girl is crippled? Quick, give me that crutch.
Oh, yes, sure.
Wait. I think I can manage to pick myself up this way.
Now, just take it easy.
Mrs. Mallory.
What is it? Are you hurt?
No, it's my leg. Did you see that? My leg bends slightly at the knee.
No, I didn't see
Look,
it.
miss, if you're sure you're okay.
Oh, get out of here. Go away and be more careful next time.
Oh, Mrs. Mallory. I'm sure it happened. I saw it happen. My leg moved. For the first time in 2 years, it moved.
No, Ida, I'm sorry. I can't find any reference to this Dr. Griff in any medical directory.
But that doesn't prove he's a fraud, though, does it?
No, of course not. And as you say, the man may not be a medical doctor. I certainly hope he isn't.
Well, why do you say that?
Pride of profession, my dear. We don't like to have faith healers bearing the same credentials.
And that's what you think he is, a faith healer?
Well, of course. Oh, I'm not knocking the power of faith, far from it. Very often it's simply another way of getting at psychosomatic difficulty.
Oh, I hate that word.
I know you do.
Oh, I've been through all that psychosomatic nonsense. All those doctors who tried to tell me that my paralyzed hands weren't, well, what they are. That there's something in me, some emotional problem.
You didn't give them much chance to prove or disprove it, Ida.
I did. I submitted to their therapy, even if I didn't believe in it, and it didn't do the slightest bit of good.
Well, maybe if you had believed them, it would have.
Flesh is flesh, Doctor. Bone is bone. That kind of therapy can't make my hands move any more than it can make that poor girl walk. And I have a good mind to tell him so.
Please come in, Mrs. Mallory.
Thank you.
Won't you have a chair?
All right.
Well, do you mind if I ask who referred you to me?
Well, actually, it was one of your patients, Melinda West.
Yes, of course. A very charming young woman. Have you known her long?
Just a few weeks. See, I haven't seen her for the last 10 days or so. How is she coming along?
Well, actually, you'll get a chance to see her soon. She has a 3 o'clock appointment with me, which is only a few minutes from now. So, if you wouldn't mind telling me what's on your mind, Mrs. Mallory.
Well, I just thought it would be worthwhile talking to you, Doctor.
About yourself?
Well, as you can see, I am afflicted.
Do you mind if I look at your hands?
Yes, frankly, I'd rather you wouldn't. Not just now. I'd rather hear something about yourself, about this treatment of yours. Melinda said something about a technique you used called psychedelic suggestion. Now, just what is that?
It's a medical principle. As old as mesmerism, as new as chemotherapy. The power of mind over body.
Psychosomatics.
Well, who knows what afflictions is psychosomatic. Some illnesses start with the emotions, some with the body. And more often, it's a combination of both.
Really?
Germs aren't imaginary. Viruses are very real little creatures. Yet the mind has strange powers over them to make them hurt us or to render them harmless.
All right, then. What about a broken leg? Can the mind cause that?
Of course. If you use your head, you wouldn't break your leg in the first place.
Oh.
You're thinking of Miss West, of the fact that she suffered a spine injury.
That's right. I hardly see how you can correct something like that.
You've seen her x-rays, then?
No.
You believe the damage is neurological?
Well, I know nothing about it.
That's strange, Mrs. Mallory. You certainly seem to have an opinion. Be careful, though. You don't have a medical degree. Someone might call you a quack.
Listen, Doctor, I came here...
Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Mallory. Ah, Melinda. I'll be with you in just a minute. No, come to think of it. Why don't you come in now? There's a friend of yours here.
A friend?
Oh, it's I, Melinda, Mrs. Mallory.
Oh, Mrs. Mallory, how nice to see you.
Come in, Melinda, please.
Melinda? Your crutches. Where are your crutches?
Look at me, Mrs. Mallory. I can walk without crutches now. I'm not very steady, but I can walk.
Well, there goes at least one of Mrs. Ida Mallory's cherished notions, that the mind can't cure the body. But she sees the evidence of her own eyes, and something tells me that this is one prejudice she's willing to give up. After all, she wants to believe in miracles, and don't we all? Mrs. Ida Mallory has spent a sleepless night, dreaming of things she never thought possible. But when the sun streamed in her windows, her first thought was to get out into the park, and with only one hope, of seeing Melinda West again, and seeing her miracle confirmed.
It's true. It's really true, Mrs. Mallory. Even Ted has to admit it.
Well, I guess there's something to it, all right. I haven't seen my sister off those crutches in 2 years.
But how did it all happen? I don't really know. As I told you, he used this drug. He made me go to sleep, and then he simply talked to me. At first there was nothing, and then I started feeling life in my legs again. Well, you saw me that day in the park when I fell down.
Oh, Melinda. I just can't tell you how happy I am for you. Well, and what are your plans now?
Oh, go home, I guess. I've got to get back to my job if it's still there.
The treatment cost much more than we thought it would.
Yes, the $500 went in no time at all. Then he asked for another $1,000. He said it couldn't be helped.
The drug he uses is so horribly expensive.
Now, listen. I told you once that if there were any way I could help you out financially...
No, that's out, Mrs. Mallory. We'll manage okay.
Of course we will.
Well.
And I can go back to work now. I can do anything I want now.
Oh, yes. Yes, that must be a wonderful feeling. To be able to do anything you want.
Ah, Mrs. Mallory. Please come in.
Thank you, Doctor. You know, it was really very good of you to see me on such short notice.
That's quite all right. Please sit down.
Thank you. Well, I don't quite know where to begin.
Well, suppose I begin for you. You've been thinking about Melinda West.
Yes, I saw her only this morning. She really is cured, isn't she?
Yes, Mrs. Mallory. In my opinion, the young woman was cured. But you realize that all I really cured by psychedelic suggestion was the illness that existed in her mind, not her body.
But I still don't fully comprehend it.
I'm sure there was no real neurological damage to the girl.
Oh.
I think her bones and muscles and nerves were all in the proper place and functioning normally. Only her mind wasn't.
But she seemed so sensible.
Mrs. Mallory, do you know the story of that accident?
I beg your pardon?
Did Melinda ever tell you exactly what occurred that caused her injuries?
No. No, as a matter of fact, she didn't. She simply said it was an automobile accident.
That's correct. And she was the driver.
Oh.
There were two other passengers, her mother and her father. Both of them were killed.
Oh, dear Lord.
She did sustain some injuries in the crash. But it was apparent to me that they were not sufficiently grave to cause her the total paralysis she suffered.
You mean she felt that guilty about what had happened?
Guilty enough to seek punishment for herself. And she did. She punished herself by losing the use of her legs.
And so your treatment was able to cure her?
Yes, I'm happy to say.
But of course it couldn't cure someone like me.
What was that?
I said it couldn't cure me. See, I didn't lose the use of my hands for any kind of reason like that. I mean, it's just some sort of nerve damage. Doctors could never explain it.
Well, if that's the diagnosis of your physician, that it's purely physical and incurable.
Oh, but I didn't say that. See, I mean, my doctor has never used the word incurable. I have been hoping for years that it would just heal itself. I can't go on living like this, so helpless and so useless.
Mrs. Mallory, have you come here to talk about Melinda West or yourself?
Myself. I want my hands back. Oh, dear God, I want my hands.
Yes, I was afraid that's what you had in mind.
Afraid? Why?
Because if you had any idea of becoming my patient, I regret to say that it's not possible.
But why not? I mean, you accepted her as a patient, and you cured her. I mean, you really did.
Unfortunately, Miss West is the last patient I can accept, at least in this part of the world.
Doctor, I don't understand. Are you have to go somewhere?
That's correct.
But where are you going?
Abroad. And my plans will keep me abroad for at least a year.
Oh, no. I mean, listen, if you're going to Europe, I was thinking of taking a trip there myself.
No, Mrs. Mallory, my destination isn't Europe. I'm going to North Africa. A case of some importance.
Well, since when is one patient more important than another?
Oh, no, I didn't mean it that way.
Oh.
It's simply that this is a prior commitment.
But maybe I could go with you. I mean, I could take up residence there.
I'm afraid that's impossible, too.
Why?
Well, the country I'm going to is a Muslim country. My patient is the son of, well, a notable Arab leader.
Well, why would that make any difference? What does it matter?
I'll be living within the bachelor section of the official residence. It's an area restricted by Muslim law. You wouldn't be allowed near the place, my dear lady, even if I were free to treat you. And I'm not.
But I have money. I'll pay you. I'll pay you anything you want to stay and treat me. I mean, I'll meet this Arab leader's offer.
Mrs. Mallory, the fee I'm about to receive, I wouldn't ask of any individual. I've been asked to remain with him for a period not to exceed 1 year.
A year?
For that year, in a Swiss bank, there will be deposited for me $150,000 in Swiss francs.
150,000?
I'm very sorry that you made me reveal that confidence. No, I trust that it goes no farther.
I'll pay you the same.
What?
You heard me. I'll pay you the same. I mean, not in a year's time, but as soon as you cured me.
I'm sorry. Your offer is very generous, but it's also conditional.
What do you mean, conditional?
You will pay only for a cure. That's something I'd never guaranteed a patient. Not Miss West, not my Arab friend, no one at all.
All right, then. Suppose it isn't conditional. Suppose I agree to pay you in advance.
Well, that, of course, would be something worth consideration.
Well, hello, Dr. Merritt. This is certainly a surprise. I think it must be the first time that a doctor ever made a voluntary house call.
Well, I didn't come here to see you as a patient, Ida. Only as a friend.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Ever since I saw you last, I've been thinking over what you told me about this Dr. Griff.
Oh, yes. Well, what about him?
I thought it would be worthwhile just to ask around about the gentleman. And last week I was attending a joint conference of my medical association and psychological group.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, I did learn something that I thought you might be interested in. There is no Dr. Griff.
What was that?
Oh, maybe he has a Ph.D. and tacked that in front of his name, but I'm quite sure that the man is not a medical doctor.
All right. Be that as it may, he's still not necessarily a fraud.
Well, I didn't say he was anything. But I suspect that your original judgment was correct.
But...
that he's not someone to be trusted.
But you don't know the whole story.
Well, what I do know is you're more impressed with a man than you were willing to admit. Isn't that right?
Dr. Merritt, he cured that girl.
What?
You know that girl I told you about, the crippled girl? She's walking again. I saw her walk.
Well, I suppose that could be true. Faith healing does have its successes.
Well, I'm sorry, Doctor, but I'd rather not discuss this any further.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't like the way you sound. Ida, have you made any sort of arrangement with this charlatan?
Dr. Merritt, I appreciate your interest, but I refuse to say another word about this matter. I mean, do you understand? Not another word.
That's right, Mrs. Mallory. Just relax. Close your eyes and let the water of faith flow through your bloodstream. You can feel it tingling through your body, bringing you peace and tranquility, total peace and happiness. Do you feel it?
Yes. Yes, I feel it.
And now, I'm reaching out for your hand. Do you see me reaching out for you?
Yes. Yes, I see you.
And now... Oh, of all times. Who's that now? Yes, what do you want?
Are you Dr. Helmut Griff?
Yes, who are you?
The name's Barry, Doctor. Lieutenant Barry, Racket and Bunko Squad, Police Department. May I come in?
No, you can't. I happen to have a patient with me right now.
Would her name be Ida Mallory?
And who are you?
I'm her physician. You might say her accredited physician.
I demand to know what this intrusion is all
It's
about.
not an intrusion, Dr. Griff. It's an arrest.
What?
Doctor? Oh, Dr. Griff?
So, may we come in now?
Ida, are you all right?
Yes, No, what is it? I mean,
all
what's
right,
happening?
Ida. Everything's going to be fine. They've got them all now. All of them.
Well, what are you talking about?
Is this the lady, Doc?
Yes, this is Mrs. Mallory. I don't think she's in any condition to talk. She's obviously given her some kind of drug.
It's a legitimate drug, a perfectly legitimate sedative.
Yes, of course. Doctor. I'm sure it's nothing very unusual, Seconal or something of that nature. No mysterious water of faith.
Please, won't someone tell me what's going on?
Now, I'll tell you, Ida. But it may hurt just a little. You see, I told the police your story, and they investigated. He is a fraud, Ida.
How dare you
Be
say
quiet, mister. You're no more a doctor than I'm police commissioner.
His real name is Michael Lanning.
Alias Dr. George Watkins, alias Dr. John Wilson, and that's his modus operandi, Mrs. Mallory, posing as a fake doctor, offering miracle cures, usually for sick widows with lots of money.
Oh, but he cured her. I mean, he cured Melinda.
This is the part that may hurt most, Ida. He did not cure Melinda West. Because Melinda West was never crippled to begin with.
I know. It was just psychosomatic.
Oh, no, Ida. Just crooked.
What?
She was in on the racket with him, Mrs. Mallory. Her real name is Anna Fraser.
Oh.
Her so-called brother is Tony Fraser, and I'm sorry, they're not brother and sister at all. They're man and wife.
No, and I believed them.
Well, we haven't caught up with those two yet, Mrs. Mallory, but we will. Oh, I brought some pictures for you to identify.
No, I don't want to look at them. I can't bear to look at them.
Please, Ida, you must.
But I don't want to prosecute them. I don't.
Why
really.
not? They're crooks, plain and simple crooks, all three of them.
I don't care.
You have to help us now, Ida. You have to identify these parasites. Now, please, look at the photographs.
You know something, Doctor? Sometimes people set out to do good and end up doing harm. And sometimes it works the other way around.
What do you mean?
Hey, now, stop that. Now, don't rip up those photos. Mrs. Mallory, please.
Ida, what are you... What? For the love of heaven, you're tearing up the pictures. You're tearing them up.
With my hands, Doctor. With my own hands.
Well, they say that it's an ill wind that doesn't blow someone some good. And in this case, it looks like three evil people have managed to be very good to Mrs. Ida Mallory, in spite of themselves. If there's a moral to this tale, I'd frankly hate to be the one to say it. No, we're not recommending that the best way to cure your ills is to fall into the hands of confidence men. Our cast included Celeste Holm, Patricia Elliott, William Redfield, Evie Juster, Arnold Moss, and Leon Janney.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. I imagine at one time or another, we've all suffered through a distorted dream of running away from someone without knowing who is chasing us. We tear up the road in the grip of some uncontrollable fear. Many is the time I've awakened in a cold sweat, thankful it was all a dream. But supposing it were not a nightmare,
but real people in real life being hounded to death by persons unknown. Such is our story today. Our drama, The Face in the Coffin, written especially for the Mystery Theater by James Agate Jr., stars Christopher Tabori and Roberta Maxwell. They say that Washington, D.C. is like any other city in America, that it has people from all walks of life trying to make ends meet, people trying to get ahead, raise their children right, and so on. But it isn't. Washington is a one-company, one-business town, and the business is U.S. Government, Inc. And sooner or later, most people within and without the city's limits find themselves enmeshed in that company's business, like Tim and Kathy Doyle. It started with a call on the telephone.
May I speak to Mr. Doyle, please?
My husband's not home right now. This is Mrs. Doyle.
Mrs. Doyle, this is Mr. Stairwell of the Bethesda Funeral Home.
Funeral home? You're calling about Tim's Aunt Emma, aren't you?
Precisely. I want Mr. Doyle to know his aunt is ready now, and that if you both would like to come along and see her, you could get a good look before the services on Thursday. This evening would be fine all around, Mrs. Doyle. We're open until 10.
This evening? Let me talk to my husband about it. I'll see he gets in touch with you. What did you say your name was?
Stairwell. Like in farewell.
I'll tell him.
Hello? Is there anyone here? Kathy, are you sure that funeral director said they'd be open until 10 tonight?
Tim, I don't like this place. Did we have to come over this evening? It could have waited till tomorrow.
I told you, Kathy, tomorrow is impossible. I'll be even more jammed up than today. That's what my job in the Department of Justice is. Late hours, all hours, any time.
I wish you'd stayed on as an assistant in drugs and narcotics enforcement.
Are you going to give me that "you're working too hard" routine again?
I'm sorry. I guess it's just that I hate a funeral parlor, especially at night. It's so spooky.
Honey, we've no choice. I wouldn't feel right about not paying my respects to Aunt Emma.
Yes?
Oh, you frightened me.
I'm Mr. Stairwell. Have you come to make an arrangement or to view a deceased?
I believe you called my wife about Aunt Emma. Well, we've come to
see her. I know it's late, but you said it was okay.
Oh, yes, Miss Emma Doyle. Could you wait a few moments? I'm a little busy right now.
We can come back tomorrow. Actually, we weren't going to stay too long.
Well, in that case, you really don't need me, and I am quite occupied. This is that time of year, you know.
No kidding. It's seasonal.
Down that hallway to your right. All the way to the end, turn left, and it's the first open door on your right. Lovely woman. Terrible loss. You'll excuse me?
Tim, wasn't he peculiar?
Lovely woman, terrible loss. I bet he never even knew Aunt Emma. Probably says it to everyone. Okay, let's go, Kathy. Take the hallway to the left.
No, hallway to the right.
Is that what he said?
Hallway to the right, and it's the first open door on your left.
You sure? Well, let's walk it and see.
All these doors. Do you think there's a real person behind each door?
You mean an unreal person?
You know what I mean.
Oh. Well, now what? Turn to the right? Is that it?
No. To the left. I'm positive.
Turn left, and it's the first open door on the right. Or turn right, and it's the first open door on the left.
Oh, look, Tim. On the other side of the potted palm, there's an open door.
I'm right behind you.
Tim, can't I just stay over here by the door?
Oh, no, I don't want to look in at Aunt Emma alone. Now, come on, hon. It's a sign of respect. Oh, good Lord. We're in the wrong room. That's not Aunt Emma.
I beg your pardon. What are you two doing in here?
Well, you told us the first open door, so we went in.
On your right. This is your left. Don't you know your left from your right? I'll ask you to leave the premises immediately.
But we haven't seen Aunt Emma yet.
Immediately, do you hear? Or are you deaf as well as not knowing your right from your left? Go out that door.
I've gone through this newspaper page for page twice already. And there's not a word. Son of a gun.
Not a word about what, Tim?
Oh, nothing. Something I was looking for in this evening's paper.
Some new Justice Department case?
Not exactly. But it could be something a lot of government people would like to know. If it's true. I can't understand it.
Why are you so mysterious, Tim?
Honest, Kathy. I'll tell you as soon as I know for sure, okay? Right now, I'm just as much in the dark as anyone. Now, listen, chick. Do you mind if I don't stay up and talk? I've got a heavy schedule tomorrow.
Of course not, darling. You don't mind if I stay up and read, do you? This book is absolutely fascinating. It's about something in wartime called Operation Mirror. A government official who has a double so he's protected in case somebody wants to kill him.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll see you in the morning, Kath.
Tim, why do you shovel your breakfast down so fast? You don't have to be in the office until 8:30.
I know, but I thought I'd get there early, pick up all the morning papers on my way.
Has it something to do with that man with the beard and the scar we saw in Aunt Emma's casket last night?
Something to do with what? Who?
That body in the viewing room when we went to see Aunt Emma.
Oh, so you did see him?
Yes, I did.
So?
Okay, have it your own way. I'll ask you some other time when you're in a better mood. I'll get it. Hello? Hello? Who is this? Tim? Tim, will you come here?
What is it, Kathy?
Come here right away, please.
Oh, what's the matter? Who rang the phone?
They hung up.
Who was it?
I don't know. I said hello, and there was no answer. All I could hear was this heavy breathing at the other end. And then a click when they hung up.
Julian, do you mind if I come in for a moment?
Of course not, Tim. Close the door behind you and drag up a chair.
I would have waited for the daily briefing, but I thought I'd better ask you this privately.
Well, what's so hush-hush, Tim?
What's the latest on the Garden Development Corporation's case?
You mean that bunch who were trying to put up a multi-million-dollar casino complex outside of D.C.?
Yeah, that's the one. Is Judge Kroll still on it?
So far as I know. We're counting on him. When the verdict's in, there'll be a hue and cry in Washington like you haven't heard since Watergate. We got Garden Development by the throat. It's an obvious front for $1 billion gambling ripoff.
The timetable?
Well, we've made our case for the government, and Judge Kroll is taking 3 weeks off to decide which book to throw at them. That's usual.
He's all right, is he?
All right in what way? He's fishing up at his place in the Springs.
You're sure?
Well, you have reason to believe he's somewhere else?
No. Something I happened to run into last night.
Well, wherever he is, he's easy to recognize. That famous scar of his, and, he's tried to hide that with that beard.
Yeah, well, I just thought I'd check with you on how far the case had gone.
We'll win. No question. This garden development scheme has been put together by some very smooth operators. A couple of business leaders and congressmen who, I suspect, are on the take. We'll see what the judge has to say when he raps his gavel for order.
Julian, thanks a lot. I know how busy you are.
Oh, Tim, how's Kathy?
She's fine.
You tell her I was asking after her. See you at the briefing.
Like something to drink, Stairwell?
I'll have a whiskey on the rocks, Senator Henderson.
Okay, help yourself. Yeah, I always have an extra bar up here on deck.
This is a beautiful yacht you have here.
Oh, yeah, the best. That's all I want out of life. Now, Stairwell, glad you come aboard, because this is the only private place I know of in Washington where we can talk without being observed.
I understood that when I got your message.
First of all, how is our deceased friend?
I was going to ask you. What do you wish me to do with him, Senator?
Well, I'm making arrangements to have him photographed. I'll let you know the day. As soon as that's done, I'd say cremation. What do you think, Stairwell? Can you get some papers together? False identity, doctor's certificate, that sort of thing?
I don't understand why you want pictures of the deceased. He's been photographed so many times. Magazines, newspapers.
Stairwell. Do you suppose when they wish to make a wax copy of a personage for Madame Tussauds that they use any old magazine photographs?
You're making a wax effigy of Judge Crowell?
In a few weeks, Judge Crowell was to hand down a verdict, which in all probability would have gone against myself and my associates. Coles would have been raped, reputations ruined. Well, as fortune would have it, when I went to visit the judge at his cabin in the Springs, I found him on the floor. As you know, he'd passed away. Heart attack. I saw the advantage and took it. Called you, arranged for the embalming, etc. We are engaging a gentleman who is the spit and image of the judge. We shall coach him to be the judge. He will appear in court, claim a sore throat, and render a verdict in our favor. On paper. The photos are to assure us we have not left a mole unmarked, and the duplicate scar is exact. Only you, Stairwell, will know that the judge is stretched out in your funeral establishment. Only you.
Senator, I don't know how to say this, but you see, you have just said...
I have just said...
That no one but you and I know the judge is deceased. But I'm afraid someone does.
What?
A man and his wife came to the funeral home, Senator, the night before last to pay their respects to a relative. By accident, they happened to see the remains of Judge Crowell.
How could you be so stupid?
It was entirely my fault.
What were you doing letting any visitors who come off the street wander around your premises, Stairwell? Who were these two people?
Mr. and Mrs. Timothy Doyle.
Doyle.
He's with the Justice Department, research and assistant counsel.
Justice? Now I've heard everything. And now you, Stairwell, you hear this, and hear it clearly. I am not going to pass this along to my associates. This matter is strictly between you and me. I don't care how you do it, but I do care when you do it. I shall be following the obituaries in the Star and the Post quite carefully. And unless Mr. and Mrs. Doyle appear in those columns very soon, your name will...
Unwittingly, unknowingly, a young couple have unlocked the door of a secret. They have encountered the wheels of a juggernaut, which, when in motion, could crush them. More when I return shortly with Act 2. 100 years ago, Henry James, a writer I greatly admire, wrote, "Life is a battle. Evil is insolent and strong. Goodness is apt to be weak. Folly, very apt to be defiant. Wickedness to carry the day. The world as it stands is no illusion, no evil dream of the night. We wake up to it forever and ever." This morning, when Kathy Doyle awoke, it seemed that horror and dread were peering over her shoulders.
You do understand, Tim, don't you? I felt I just had to get out of the house.
I sort of understand, Kathy. I'm enjoying driving up this morning to Big Hunting Creek. I like the view of the waterfall. We can picnic. But I don't know. I thought weekends you like staying at home.
I do, Tim. But the last few days... I know this sounds weird, but when I'm home alone, I get the feeling I'm being watched.
I gotta shift into second. This is a pretty steep grade. Hey, look at that fool speeding down the hill towards us.
He's crazy.
Oh, or drunk. Look at him, weaving all over the road. Did you see that?
I kept my eyes closed and grabbed my seatbelt.
That was a near miss, inches. Good thing he was on the outside and we were on the mountainside.
Tim, what's that in the road up ahead?
Oh, no, son of a gun. Well, there goes lunch by the waterfall.
What is it?
It's a roadblock. I better pull up and stop.
There are branches and trees pulled right across the road.
Some local is telling us there's danger up there.
Does that mean we can't go any further?
If we're smart. Somebody went to the trouble of warning us. This is a lousy spot to turn around in. The road's so narrow, I'll have to inch back and forth. Well, here goes.
Aren't you getting awfully close to the edge, Tim?
You know any other way to make it?
I'm so disappointed we have to go all the way back downhill. Maybe we'll find another place to picnic.
Sure.
You made that turn so well, Tim.
Well, the secret is to keep calm and cool. And know what you're doing. It's like driving on ice. You have to know how to handle your car. Now, for instance, right now, you see how much steeper it's getting? So we downshift.
Wouldn't the brakes hold?
Oh, sure they will. But this makes for less wear and tear. Having the motor hold her back helps, you understand?
Tim, there's that car again, down there where the road makes an S. Do you see it? Oh, that same car driven by that same crazy man.
Will you look at him? Coming up this way, lickety-split?
Tim, I'm afraid he's weaving all over the road again, only this time we're on the outside. Tim, honk him, he's coming right at us.
Move over, you crazy fool! Get over on your side!
What's he doing, trying to kill us? Oh, my Lord, he hit us!
Take it easy, Kath. Kath, we're okay.
But we're picking up speed. Don't go downhill so fast.
I can't get the brakes to hold. They're not holding. I'm pumping, but they're not... The emergency, it's come right out.
Tim, do something!
Are you buckled in with your safety belt?
Yes.
Now listen, you see that thick mat of bushes sticking out of the side of the mountain down there? I'm heading for those. If I make it right, maybe they'll hold the car back. Keep it from rolling down any further.
No, Tim, that's on your side. You'll be killed.
No, I won't, honey. Believe it. Kathy? Kath?
I'm all right, I think. Nothing feels broken.
Can you unbuckle your safety belt?
I can't reach around there. It got all twisted.
We've got to get out of this car, but fast. Now hold still. I'll try to reach around over you and unbuckle it. Yeah, there. You're free. Now, Kathy, can you reach over and open your door?
I think so.
Well, hurry, baby, hurry. Okay, now, get out as fast as you can and run straight downhill. You see where that big rock sticks out? Get in back of that.
What about you?
I'll be right behind you. Okay, now, down here behind this boulder.
What happened?
The gas tank exploded.
So good to be home again with my feet up on the sofa. I'm still shaking all over.
Me too.
Oh, Tim, what would I have done without you? The way you handled everything, you were incredible.
Well, when someone's out to get you, you find yourself doing things you didn't know you could.
Is that what you think? Because I think so, too. We're on somebody's list, like they say in the gangster movies.
I don't see any other reason, Kath. No emergency brake comes apart in your hand unless it's been messed with.
I knew it.
And when I hit the foot brake, it went right down to the floor. Nothing. Someone drained all the brake fluid, leaving us just enough to drive up part of the way.
Can you think of anyone who would do that to you? Is there something you found out about someone in your research?
I don't know. 150-year-old treaty between the USA and the Indians? No, I don't see that.
It could be all mistaken identity. Like in the book, Operation Mirror. Not you, but someone who looks like you. Tim, what are we going to do? We haven't done anything to anybody.
did you like the movie, Kathy?
I loved it, Tim, but I like this better. I haven't sat in a drugstore for a chocolate ice cream soda since I don't know when.
We have to just keep going, Kathy, and pray that it's all coincidence or a mistake.
It isn't, Tim, and we both know it.
Okay, hon. You finished?
Yep.
Let's walk home. It's a nice, clear night.
You see, it didn't rain after all.
Yeah, the radio said it would. Wait till I pay the man for the sodas.
Tim, imagine running into you. I saw you and Kathy at the Beacon. How are you two?
Julian.
We're recovering.
That was some hair-raising accident you two had.
What brings you to Bethesda this time of night?
Same thing that brought you two out of hiding. That horror picture at the Beacon. Tim, I'm going to ask Charlie whether we can give you a little special protection. I don't like the smell of this.
No, we don't need that.
Julian is right. Something is rotten here.
I insist on it, Tim. Did the insurance company tell you when you'll get your money for the car?
You kidding?
Well, let me give you a lift then.
No. We thought we'd walk.
Tim, I wouldn't mind a lift home. I'm kind of tired.
I'm parked just around the corner.
I want to walk. It'll do us good. Good night, Julian.
Good night.
See you Monday.
Why didn't you let Julian give us a lift home?
I can't explain it, Kathy. It was as if a voice inside of me was saying, don't get into Julian's car.
Your own boss at the department? What do you suspect him of?
I don't know. Maybe I'm in such a state I see an enemy in every shadow.
Timothy Doyle, I don't want you to say any more. Let's just enjoy our walk. See? The moon's out. Rain tonight. Ha! Doesn't the public library look beautiful at night? Like an old Greek temple.
Wouldn't you know it? I left the umbrella in the movie house. I better run back and get it.
Shall I wait for you here?
No. You might as well come along. Let's jog, okay?
Oh, Tim! Look back there where we were just standing.
Oh, Mother of Mercy. A great walloping piece of marble fell down from the roof and smashed on the street.
If we'd been standing there.
Right where we were.
Hold on to me, Tim. I'm getting real scared now. If we hadn't turned round and run back to get your umbrella...
1 second later...
we would have been crushed to death.
Must have been a nasty shock, that parapet missing you by inches.
Julian, the second close call in 3 days. It's no coincidence. I don't know, maybe a contract's out to get rid of us. But we're the wrong people. We just happen to look like who they want to get rid of.
Possible. If you rule out accidents or coincidence. It could be mistaken identity.
Then there's this book she's been reading about doubles used in wartime. Operation Mirror.
It's still going on, Tim. There isn't a world leader who doesn't have a double to make an appearance at some function. Most of them don't have to say anything. Just get off the plane, get photographed, ride in a parade, review troops. Any public appearance that might be dangerous.
Julian, you're the only person I can level with. I can't even talk about this to Kathy. I don't want to frighten her. A couple of weeks ago, we went to see the remains of my Aunt Emma in a funeral home in Bethesda. And somehow got into the wrong viewing room. There was a man in that coffin. I recognized his face right away. It was Judge Kroll.
Did you say Kroll? The one who's handing down the decision on the garden development case?
I could swear to it. Now, supposing no one's supposed to know he's dead. Supposing, when the courtroom reconvenes, his double comes out and renders a verdict favorable to those gangsters.
And because by accident you saw the real Judge Kroll in the casket, a contract is out on you two.
Does that sound far-fetched?
I'll have the department send somebody around to that funeral home.
Yeah, the director's name is Stairwell. He better be picked up, too.
Tim, there are millions at stake. This was the cleanest federal warrant we ever issued. How about Kathy?
I'm having her father move in with us. He's a widower, and he always likes to come and visit. There's one other thing. Do you mind if I take the rest of the week off? I've got an idea, and I'd like to follow it up.
Tim, don't get in their way. All I ask is, do your darndest to stay alive.
I have every intention.
A great deal has been written about and said about money. That it's something a fool is soon parted with. It's the root of all evil, and so on. Generally, there is agreement. It makes a good servant, but a bad master. For those of us who like to unearth clues and solve mysteries, there's plenty of evidence that Tim and Kathy Doyle are being fingered, so that someone's desires for money will not be thwarted. I shall return shortly with Act 3. The time unimportant. For Tim Doyle, it's later than he thinks. The place, a secluded spot Washingtonians call the Springs. As Tim's rented car pulls up, he can see a cabin in the woods, and beyond that, a bearded man in waders, fishing midstream. No one else is in sight.
You there? Where are you going?
My name is Timothy Doyle. I've come to see Judge Kroll.
Yeah? What makes you think the judge wants to see you? Who are you? Do you have any identification?
Certainly. Have a look.
Uh-huh. Oh, indeed. Justice Department. Is the judge expecting you?
Senator Henderson. The judge doesn't have a telephone up here, and you and I both know it. He could scarcely get away for a few weeks quiet fishing if he had a phone.
Uh-huh. So you know me, do you?
There isn't a person in the country who doesn't, Senator.
He's over there fishing.
May I have my ID card back, please?
Mr. Doyle, I'm going to show it to Judge Kroll to ask whether he would like to see you.
I'll ask him myself.
Oh, no, you won't. The judge has asked me to keep people away from him, and I intend to do just that.
I need to see him before he arrives in court next Tuesday.
Then, my dear Mr. Doyle, you will have to go through channels.
Are you the only one here, Senator, besides the judge?
Yeah. Why do you ask?
If I'm not mistaken, there's a man standing in the window of that cabin. I see something glinting in the sunlight, like the barrel of a gun.
You may see a man, but a gun? No. The judge has a handyman who works around the place, and he's just probably getting the noon meal ready. I was just about to call the judge to tell him to come in when you drove up. So, if you would be so good as to turn your car around now and go back where you came, I would appreciate it. Come along to the court on Tuesday. Perhaps after the judge has rendered his verdict, he will speak to you.
Who was that, Senator?
That young friend of yours, Stairwell. The one who leads a charmed life.
Timothy Doyle? Here?
You're asking yourself the same questions I did.
Why didn't you get him a little closer to the cabin? I could have picked him off with this rifle.
What a brilliant idea. Think of the explaining I'd have to do with the authorities. Why we ever took you in with us is beyond me.
It could have been a hunting accident.
Doyle, out here hunting, without a rifle? You cannot seem to understand. Doyle and his wife are the only ones who have seen the judge's body. If one of them dies mysteriously, the other is going to talk. It was bad enough. I had to be here when he showed up. You can tell our bearded actor he can get out of the water now.
I think he's coming along just fine. You see, the judge is cremated, name disguised, Board of Health, all the necessary papers are in. Mm-hmm. We're in the clear.
Yeah, well, it's your job to finish off the Doyles. Like it or not.
Senator, I've tried. Honest, I have. But I'm not a hitman.
You made the mistake of letting them into the wrong room. You've got to answer for that. Or take the consequences.
Oh, there's nothing like a Saturday morning.
Tim, how can you be so relaxed and cheery?
I'm always cheery on weekends. I'm home with you. Why shouldn't I be happy?
Tim, what are we going to do?
About what?
You know. Threats.
Your father's upstairs. Across the street is an operative from Justice protecting us. We're as safe as we can be, honey.
Do you think any of this is somehow connected with that ugly man in the coffin? The one with the beard?
I thought you didn't see him.
I did. I didn't want to remember him.
Some connection. It's possible, but I don't see how.
Who do you suppose was in that coffin? Tim, I asked you a question.
I heard you.
Don't try being evasive with me. Do you know who that dead man was? Did you recognize that face in the coffin?
Not positively. That's the truth, Kathy.
But you have an idea.
It's such a wild idea anyway. You know, the insurance people said they'd put a form for me to sign for the car in the mail. Let's go see if it's come. Coming?
Uh-huh. I agree with you. It's a gorgeous day. Oh, Tim, before we go to the mailbox, I want to have another look at that hole in our big oak. I think robins are building a nest there.
At this time of year?
Let's cut across the lawn.
Oh, this big oak gets wider and thicker every year. Look, the both of us can hide behind it now.
There it is. See the nest?
Oh, hey, the mail is in. Mailman's picked up the letter I left there and put the flag back down.
That's what I call a big nest. Huge. I bet you half a dozen robins will be born there.
Will you look at that squirrel? He's climbing right up our mailbox.
Isn't he darling? He's sitting right on top of it.
He's trying to get at the latch and open it.
Maybe he thinks someone sent him some nuts.
Oh, Lord in heaven. Oh, the mailbox. It blew up.
It exploded. It could have been us. It could have been you, Tim, or me.
That guard from the Justice Department. He's getting out of his car.
What good is he to us? Someone planted a bomb in our mailbox. Don't you understand? That man was sitting there, probably watching him, doing nothing. It wasn't a squirrel they were hoping to kill. Tim, you've got to do something. I can't stand this anymore.
Justice Department. Doyle speaking.
Tim, is that you?
Yes, Kathy. Is everything all right?
Yes, it is. I thought I'd just like to talk to you. Did you tell Julian what happened Saturday?
He's not in yet. But you know, I told him everything on the phone Saturday.
The police have been here for the umpteenth time.
And what about the man from Justice?
His car is gone.
And your dad? Is he okay?
Yeah. I just sent him out to do some shopping. Tim, it's so hard to pretend to him that it was all a mistake.
I'll get home early, honey. Don't you worry about anything.
And you don't mind my calling you at the office on a busy Monday morning?
Of course not, darling. Anytime. Bye, Kat.
Bye, Tim. Oh. Yes, what is it? Oh, aren't you the funeral director, Mr.
Stairwell. I've come to apologize, Mrs. Doyle.
Apologize? What for?
I don't blame you for keeping this front door on a chain and not letting me in. I treated you and your husband pretty shabbily, and I drove all the way out here to tell you so.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Stairwell. Of course, you can come in. Please, please. It was all a misunderstanding. We've had a lot worse things happen to us since Aunt Emma turned out to be someone else. Our living room is right over here to your left.
That's another thing I want to apologize for. How could I have misdirected you into a viewing room where my own dear father lay in state? My fault entirely.
The bearded man in that casket was your father?
Yes, poor man. He had a hard life. Well, now that I've apologized, I do have a problem, Mrs. Doyle. You know, we placed your aunt's casket in your husband's family vault. I went by there yesterday, and it's become quite dangerous. It ought to be looked at.
Dangerous? Really? I don't think Tim will be free to go to the cemetery before next Saturday. Can it wait till then?
You want my honest opinion? No, it's filling up with water. I'd say 3 or 4 inches a day.
That's awful. We have to do something.
If you'd like, we could go out there right now. I have my vehicle outside.
Would you take me? Mr. Stairwell, that's so thoughtful. Just let me get my bag, and I'll be right with you. This is the first time I've ever ridden in a hearse. Up front, it's not at all uncomfortable.
If you'll forgive a bad joke, Mrs. Doyle, I've never had a complaint from a passenger in the back either. Well, here we are. This is the East Gate.
Oh, dear. I never thought I'd be visiting this cemetery so soon again.
Let's hope it'll be the last time. I'll get the door for you.
Let me see. The vault is right behind that big poplar tree. Am I right?
Before we go into the cemetery, would you mind turning around, Mrs. Doyle?
You've got a gun.
Yes, I have, and it's loaded.
Mr. Stairwell, what are you going to do?
You see that public telephone right by the gate? I want you to walk in there slowly, attract no attention, and call your husband.
Tim, it's Kathy again.
We talked an hour ago. Is anything wrong?
What did you say?
I said, are you all right?
Yes, I'm all right, Timothy.
Well, then why are you calling me? You just stay snug as a bug at home. Keep the chain on the door and don't go out.
But I'm already out.
You are? Where are you?
I'm at the cemetery.
What cemetery? Why are you there?
Tim, there's something very wrong with the family vault. Can you come out here right now?
Kathy, I'm terribly busy. I've days and days of work to make up. What's wrong? Can you tell me about it when I get home tonight?
I can't go home now, Tim. The vault is filling up with water. I don't know what to do about it. Please, Tim.
Okay. I'll be there.
And maybe on the way here, Tim, you better stop off at home and feed Buster.
Okay, Kath. Will do.
There, I did it. I wish you'd point that gun in another direction.
We're fortunate. The cemetery is deserted now. Get out of the booth, Mrs. Doyle.
Where to?
Into the vault.
Kathy, where are you?
Go on. Tell him in here.
Kathy!
Call out to him.
Tim, I'm in here, in the vault.
Kathy, who's this?
He made me call you.
Up with your hands, Mr. Doyle. Stand next to Mrs. Doyle. I'll try and make this as quick and painless as possible.
Aren't you Mr. Stairwell from the funeral parlor?
Stand still.
You're mad. You can't shoot a pistol in here. Your eardrums will burst.
Be quiet and stand still.
Mr. Stairwell, can you hear those sirens?
What?
It's the police.
The police!
So long, Mr. Stairwell. Look at him go.
Oh, darling. I hope this is the end of it. I couldn't stand another one of these things.
Shh, honey. It's all right. Well, he made the hearse.
This is the police. You come out of that hearse and drop that gun.
Oh, Tim, darling, I knew I could count on you.
When you phoned with that message for Buster, I knew exactly what to do.
They're taking Mr. Stairwell away.
Take a good look, honey. It isn't often you see a funeral director on his way to his own.
Was he the Mr. Big of this whole thing?
I don't think so. But he'll want to save his own skin, so he'll lead the police to him. That was some ripoff, engineered by some very shiny brass.
But they were weak in one department.
They were?
In their research department. They never found out that Buster wasn't a dog, but your brother on the police force.
I guess we can all breathe a sigh of relief. Finding oneself at the wrong end of a gun for the wrong reasons could and has happened. If you cannot get help, try helping yourself. Keep cool and use your head. And remember a couple of tricks you learned on Mystery Theater. I'll be back for a few words shortly. Somebody famous, whose name escapes me, has said, "It's not death that frightens me, it is dying. The known does not alarm me. The unknown does. So be not frightened of enigmas, secrets, or mysteries. Look sharp, be strong, and say to yourself, he who fears being conquered is sure of defeat." Napoleon said that, and look what happened to him. Our cast included Roberta Maxwell, Christopher Tabori, Bob Caliban, and Fred Gwynn. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. I'm E.G. Marshall, your landlord in this mansion of terror. And often there's no terror quite like those nameless terrors, those undercurrents we can't put our finger on. We know something's not quite right, but we don't know why. It nags at those dark corners of our mind. And such is the story we have for you now. All seems to be sweetness and light. But watch out for those dark corners, those things left unsaid. Jane and Mike Slater are young city dwellers spending their vacation in a quiet village called Granville. They thought it was the perfect spot to get away from it all. That's what they thought, until they got there and tried to get away from it. Our mystery drama, The Summer People, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Bob Juran and stars Tony Roberts. Two weeks in another town, a summer place. They all add up to a change of scene, something everyone enjoys. And for Jane and Mike Slater, a summer in the country was not only desired, but almost necessary. Jane is a serious painter, and Mike's a young reporter with a novel burning in his brain. A couple ripe for spending their vacation away from it all and working on their respective art. So it was no wonder that when Mike picked up the paper one evening, he enthused.
Hey, Jane, listen to this.
What?
I think it's just what we've been looking for. For our vacation, I mean. Private rooms with bath in lovely private home. Quiet village on beautiful river. Complete peace and quiet. All meals, $50 a week per person.
$50 a week? What's the date on that paper, 1910?
It says 50, unless it's a misprint. Restricted to persons 23 years or younger.
Well, at least we qualify there.
Interested parties may phone for interview. 814 on the number.
Interview? Oh, sounds too snobbish.
It sounds intriguing to me.
Well, doesn't the ad say where it is?
No, nothing more. It's a perfect place to spend the summer and start the draft on my book.
Well, it's okay with me if you want it. But phoning for an interview, isn't that strange?
Well, whoever put the ad in had his reasons. We won't know unless we call. Coming.
Mr. Slater?
Yes. You're Mrs. Williams.
That's right.
Oh, we've been expecting you.
From our chat on the phone, you sounded like the right kind of people.
Come in.
Thank you. Oh, what a cozy place.
Jane, it's Mrs. Williams.
That Dutch clock must be an heirloom.
It's my great-grandmother's.
Mrs. Williams, hello.
Mrs. Slater?
Sit down, please.
Thank you. You may think this a bit unusual that we request an interview.
Yeah, frankly, yes.
Well, you see, Mr. Slater, we in Granville are... Well, we do invite the summer people into our homes. There are no hotels, and we want to be careful. I mean, we want to be sure our summer people will fit in.
Your ad said only people under 23 years old. I think that's curious.
Well, so you should. But we're a young town, Mrs. Slater. Oh, Granville's been a village for 230 years, but the people are young. We stay young. And we want our summer visitors to be the same way. How old would you say I was, Mr. Slater?
Oh, no. Don't put me on the spot.
Oh, would you want to guess, Mrs. Slater?
Well, since you asked, 40? 42?
Oh, I'm 79.
79? Oh, you can't be.
Well, that's the way it is in Granville. We've found the secret for keeping young. And we want our summer people to enjoy us just as much as we'll enjoy them.
It all sounds great to me.
We're quite self-supporting, but we do depend on the summer people. That's why we're willing to take the trouble to meet our prospective visitors personally. You're both in good health?
Oh, yes.
No recent illnesses or operations?
Would you like a blood sample?
Oh, come on, Jane.
Well, this is ridiculous, Mike.
Mrs. Slater, I understand your reaction. Many people feel the same way, but if you're willing to cooperate with us, just these few questions, you won't regret it.
Just where is Granville, Mrs. Williams?
Oh, I'll give you the directions when we decide on your visit. What do you do, Mr. Slater?
Well, I'm a writer. I'm a news writer for the Post. Jane goes to art school. She's working on her master's.
Oh, you're both artists.
Oh, well, thanks for the compliment. The reason I was interested in your ad is I want to spend the summer blocking a book, and Jane wants to paint. It sounded like just the place.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. I can tell from meeting you both. So attractive, healthy, young. You'll fit in with Granville just perfectly.
If we choose to come.
Oh, but why wouldn't you?
You haven't told us enough about the town or your home. You've been concerned in making sure we'd fit in. Well, maybe we couldn't, from our point of view.
Oh, well, you do have a point, Mrs. Slater. But I'm afraid there's not much more to tell. Granville is a pleasant little village on the banks of the Secony River upstate. I can offer you my second-floor suite and the friendship and attention of all the residents of Granville.
We'll think it over.
I'll call you in a day or two, but I'm pretty certain we'll be there.
Very well, Mr. Slater, Mrs. Slater. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I do hope you'll decide to come to Granville. You're just the kind of people we want.
Thank you.
Forgive my reservations, Mrs. Williams. We'll let you know.
I'll be waiting. Good night.
Good night. What's the big deal, Jane? It sounds perfect.
I don't know, Mike. There's something strange. The things she didn't or wouldn't say.
Yeah, well, that's all the more interesting. I'm dying to see the place. And we're okay on her list?
Oh, yes. She seemed eager to have us. I'm not against it, Mike. Let's sleep on it. I'll probably feel different in the morning.
You in there, Martha?
Come on in, Ned. How's Elizabeth?
Oh, she's okay. Dr. Teal said it was indigestion. The way she was carrying on, I thought it was a heart attack. How'd you make out with the summer people in the city? The Slaters?
They're perfect. Two of the best I'll ever have. I hope they decide to come.
Oh, they're not firmed up yet?
The wife was a little leery of my questions. They're going to call me.
Well, what about the basketball player?
Oh, he's all set. He didn't seem to mind at all the questions and restrictions. Said he couldn't wait to soak the basketball season out of his bones in peace and quiet.
I sure hope the Slaters come. I hate to start looking again.
I think they will. I impressed them with the age thing.
What'd they say?
Oh, like everyone else, they guessed around 40 and were amazed when I said 79.
Imagine what the summer people would say if they knew how old we really are.
I wouldn't believe it, so, why tell them?
It can't be much further. We passed the lily pond 2 miles ago.
Oh, she said 2 miles past the lily pond, look for wooden sign on right and take road to the left.
Well, it's been 2 miles, unless my odometer's wrong.
There it is up ahead.
Oh, yeah. The arrow sign. Granville, 4 miles. Well, where's the road?
Well, it's supposed to be on the left.
Well, the sign points left, all right. Granville, 4 miles, but there's no road. Unless they mean those 2 ruts through the field over there.
This is crazy. But I guess we'll have to see where they go.
Okay. But talk about being off the beaten track. We're getting just what we bargained for.
Well, it looks as though it gets better up ahead.
Yeah, there's at least some paving up there. You know, if it weren't for that sign back on the highway, you could go right past this place and never even know it was here.
Well, this looks more like it. There is a town back in here.
Welcome to Granville, population 210. How can they be so accurate?
After meeting Mrs. Williams, I can believe anything. Why, Mike, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's clean, all right. Nice-looking houses, too.
It's almost unreal. It's so perfect.
Where do we head next?
Continue along Thimble Street. That's what we're on. To the greenhouse on Maple Avenue.
Well, that can't be too far. Hey, look at that, Jane. A little church. There's something to paint.
My first subject. I wonder where the river is.
Well, we got plenty of time to find it.
Oh, Mike, this really is paradise. We made the right decision coming here.
I think so, too.
I can't wait to... What's the matter?
But where do we go from here? I mean, we're at the end of Thimble Street, and so far there's been no Maple Avenue and no greenhouse.
We must have passed it. We were talking too much.
I've been watching every street. We didn't come to Maple Avenue.
Well, we'll have to ask. I'll go in that little store.
Ask the fellow coming out.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, hello there.
Could you tell me how to get to Mrs. Williams?
Oh, sure. You're the summer people. She's expecting you.
Yeah, the directions said straight on Thimble to Maple Avenue.
Oh, you passed Maple 1 block back. Go back, left on Maple, by the greenhouse. Then about a quarter of a mile, you'll find Mrs. Williams on the right. Big yellow house with a green porch.
Oh, thanks so much.
I can't see how we missed Maple Avenue, though.
My name's Ned Broker. Glad to have you with us.
I'm Mike Slater. It's my wife, Jane. See you later. Thanks for the directions.
What a pleasant man.
It proves Mrs. Williams' point, I guess. Granville stays young.
Well, it's nice to know we're not staying with a bunch of old fogies.
Hey, they seem to be anything but that. Mrs. Williams and that guy back there, at least.
Oh, there's the greenhouse. Maple Avenue.
I don't see how we passed it before.
Well, go left like the man said. A quarter of a mile, and we'll be at Mrs. Williams.
Hello. I've been waiting for you.
Here we are.
Well, I wasn't sure when you'd arrive.
No, we only made one bad turn. Not bad for newcomers.
Mr. Broker in the village told us how to get here.
Oh. Well, come on in and get settled. Your rooms are all ready, and I've got a pot of hot coffee and homemade apple pie all waiting.
Like I said, this is paradise.
Your rooms are on the second floor. I'm expecting another guest toward the end of the week. He'll have the third.
Your place is just charming, Mrs. Williams.
That's exactly what we wanted.
Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy it here.
The whole town seems so fresh and clean. The people look so well.
We're very careful about how we live here. We grow all our own vegetables. Meat's imported. Oh, you love our food. Well, here you are. 2 rooms with connecting bath.
It's lovely.
Well, this is great.
Well, you get settled in and then come down to the kitchen. I want to introduce you to some real Granville cooking.
You in there, Martha?
Come on in, Ned.
Your folks settled in?
Just about.
Well, you were right about them. They seem like the right type to me.
I know how to pick them.
When's the next one arriving?
At the end of the week.
I told the Slaters I'd drop around and see them settled.
Oh, stay for pie and coffee, Ned. They'll be down in a couple of minutes.
I'll show them around town tomorrow. The girl's a painter?
That's what they said.
Oh, she'll be looking for subjects. I'll know what to show her.
Yes. And what to keep her away from?
Charming people in Granville. Hospitable, friendly, attentive. But I can't help feeling... Oh, no, it's just my overly active imagination. There's nothing wrong, nothing sinister. How could there be with such lovely, youthful, healthy people? And yet, we'll return to Granville when I return with Act 2. I did say we'd return to Granville, where Jane and Mike Slater have decided to spend some time in late summer. He to start a book, and she to pursue her painting. But, frankly, that town gives me the willies. If you don't mind, I'll just stay here and meet you later. You go on ahead and join Jane and Mike in the kitchen of that friendly Mrs. Williams. You might even get a piece of that apple pie.
Another slice, Mr. Slater.
Oh, no, thanks, Mrs. Williams. It's delicious, but 2 is my limit.
Oh, now, come on. A young fellow like you ought to be able to put away a whole pie.
He's being polite.
I'll take another one, Martha.
Help yourself.
I understand you paint, Mrs. Slater. There's plenty of subject matter here in Granville.
Well, that's what I was hoping. I'm dying to look around the village.
I'd be glad to show you around.
Well, I'll be glued to my typewriter most of the time. I'm glad Jane has a painting to keep her busy.
Well, you want to rest up today. Why don't we start out tomorrow?
Fine with me. From what I've seen already, I know we couldn't have found a lovelier place. I've never seen such immaculate farmland.
We grow everything we eat. Let's walk on down to the riverfront. The view there is something.
What's that low brown building over there? A factory?
No factories in Granville. That's our freezer. We freeze the harvest for the winter months. One of our few concessions to modern gadgets.
Oh, You have such an idyllic place here. I'm surprised you want outsiders at all.
Oh, living too closed up isn't good either. We like the right kind of summer people visiting us. Gives us perspective.
Mrs. Williams is so warm and friendly.
You'll find everyone in Granville's that way.
So, how was the grand tour?
Beautiful. It's a beautiful spot. Almost too perfect. Everything's laid out just so.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, nothing really. It's just curious. I don't remember seeing any children. Not a single child.
Well, maybe they're all grown up. Everyone seems to be proud of how old they are here and how well they look.
But a whole village without any children?
Yeah, that's unusual, yeah. But what's the difference?
Well, none, I guess. To us, anyway. I'm going to start on Mr. Broker's barn. It's so unique.
Mrs. Slater, lunch is ready.
Thank you. We'll be right down.
Oh, I don't really feel like any lunch. Hey, that breakfast she poured into us would last me a week.
Oh, well, the food's fantastic, but we can't hurt her feelings.
I know you're going to like it here, Mr. Egan.
Oh, I can see that already. Peace and quiet's all I want.
Well, you're on the third floor. A nice young couple has the second.
Oh.
Oh, Mr. Slater, hello.
Hello.
This is Mr. Egan, Mr. Slater, our new resident.
Hi. Hi.
Mr. Egan's a professional basketball player.
Right, recovering from the season.
And Mr. Slater's a writer. His wife's a painter.
We're sort of on a work vacation.
Well, you won't see much of me. I'm just going to sleep and eat.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. I'm afraid the Slaters aren't used to my big meals.
Yeah, the food's great. There's just so much of it.
Well, it's my duty to keep our summer people well fed.
You won't have any trouble with me, Miss Williams.
Well, now, come along. We'll get you settled.
See you later, Mr. Slater. Oh, hey, I didn't mean that the way it sounds.
Call me Mike.
Okay, I'm Tim.
See you later.
The basketball player all settled in?
Yes.
Guess I'd better get out to the main road and take the sign down. We won't be expecting any more for a while.
Not for a while.
Oh, how's the painting coming along, Jane?
Oh, I don't know, Tim. I started out with a bang, but lately I haven't been able to concentrate.
Can I look?
Sure. That's 2 weeks of work.
Mm-hmm. Looks good to me.
Oh, it's all there, the barn and the sky and the field, but it's just there. There's no spark. I don't know, I've been so lazy lately. I can't get up steam.
I'm the same way, and enjoying every minute.
It must be Mrs. Williams' cooking and this country air.
Oh, hi there. I didn't know you were back. You finished for the day?
Yeah, I can't work up any enthusiasm.
Yeah, you know, that's my problem. Talk about writer's block. I've been staring at that typewriter for a week.
I'm beginning to wonder if we came to the right place after all. We wanted peace and quiet to work, but between the food and the climate, we're growing fat and lazy.
Oh, well, it suits me fine, but I'm going to have to take off 10 pounds before the new season starts.
How did you happen to find this place, Tim?
Oh, just an ad in the paper.
Yeah, same as we did.
Did Mrs. Williams give you a personal interview?
Sort of. She came to my apartment, took one look at me, and gave me directions to Granville.
Didn't you think it was funny they made such a fuss about meeting us?
Well, yeah, I did, but she was so nice, and this Granville sounded so great, I didn't care. I just wanted to get away. You know, I didn't even tell my fiancé where I was going.
Oh. Have you looked around the town, Tim?
No, I've done what I said I'd do. Just sit, eat, and sleep.
Hey, Jane, there's no need to bring that up.
What's that?
Well, Jane thinks that there's something unusual here.
Tim, there's not a single pet in town. Everyone in Granville is a youthful senior citizen.
Oh, well, there's nothing odd about that. I was in Florida one time, and there were these old people.
This isn't an old people's retirement community. It's a plastic village. Everyone's very charming and gracious, like mannequins.
Well, I still don't see anything wrong in that.
It just bothers me. Why are they so anxious to have us come for the summer? They say they need their summer folk For what?
Well, the money. I mean, they don't have any industry here. They just need cash for some things.
The money? $50 a week for the two of us? What are you paying, Tim?
25.
It's not the money, but this lethargy. We all have it. I think they're draining our strength in some way.
Oh, come on. Don't make such a big deal out of nothing.
I'll see you two at supper, okay?
How about some homemade ice cream? It's already in the kitchen.
Thanks, no.
No thanks, Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, I was just going to take a snooze. Maybe later, Miss Williams.
Well, whatever you wish. It's there when you want it.
She was listening. She heard what we said.
Oh, I doubt it, Jane. Look, if she thought we suspected her of something, she would have said so.
Not necessarily. Not if there was a good reason for us not to know.
What's up, Martha?
I don't think the Slaters will be staying the whole summer. Mrs. Slater's particularly nervous.
What you going to do?
I've advertised their rooms, Mr. Egan's too. He was due to leave the end of the month anyway.
Well, okay, if you're sure you can get replacements. 3 summer people aren't enough.
I know, but I won't have trouble filling the rooms.
Hello there.
Hi, Mr. Egan. Out for a stroll?
Well, I just like to watch other people work. Getting ready for the barbecue tomorrow?
Yep. Real great time, our July barbecue. It's a lot of work, but we think it's worth it.
Well, I'm glad I'm going to be around for it.
Say, Mr. Egan, I wonder if you could help me later on?
Sure.
A couple of chores that could use your muscle power.
Oh, anytime. Tell me where and when.
Well, I'll come by for you at Mrs. Williams this evening.
Well, don't make it too late, though. I've been hitting the sack earlier and earlier. I never slept so good in my life.
Oh, we'll all be bedding down early tonight. With the barbecue and dance, nobody will be going to bed tomorrow night. More corn, Mrs. Slater?
Oh, yes, maybe just one more.
Another round of steaks are on the grill, too.
What a shame Tim had to miss this.
Yes, too bad.
I'm so surprised he didn't say anything to us before he left.
Well, when Mr. Egan got the phone call last night, he said it was an emergency at home. He just grabbed his things and ran. He seemed very upset.
That's so curious because I thought...
What, Jane? Martha, want to give me a hand with these?
Oh, be right there. Help yourself to salad, Mr. Slater.
What were you going to say?
I'm wondering who could have called him. I remember him saying he didn't even tell his fiancée where he was going.
May I have the honor of a dance, Mrs. Slater?
Oh, I thank you. No, please, I couldn't.
Go on, Jane.
I'm too full. Maybe later.
Well, Martha, it looks like us old folks have to show the youngsters how to have fun, huh? My arm, Mrs. Williams.
Delighted, Mr. Broker. Excuse us.
Just one dance, and I'll be back for you, Mrs. Slater. Hey, Jane, we might as well pack up and go back to town tomorrow if you're going to act like this.
I'm sorry, Mike.
There's no reason for these suspicions. But do you want to leave?
No. You have your work to do.
Well, I'm not getting anything done. I mean, maybe we'd better pack it in.
No. I won't say anything more about it, Mike. I'll get back to my painting tomorrow and try to enjoy the rest of the summer. You ought to be back writing instead of watching me paint.
I don't see why you're unhappy with this painting, Jane. You know, it's Mr. Broker's barn to a T.
I have a new idea for it. This morning I hit on what's wrong.
What?
Well, all you see is the outside. You don't feel a whole barn in the picture. It's because I've never bothered to look inside.
What do you mean?
Come on. Mr. Broker won't mind. Even though I'm not going to show the interior, if I know in my mind what it looks like, I'll give the whole painting more character.
That makes sense. It's the first barn I've ever seen with no dust on the windows. Door's not locked?
Not surprising. Mrs. Williams never locks her house. I don't think any of them do.
Yeah, well, let's go get that mood you're after. It's as clean as a you-know-what.
Yes.
What's the matter?
It's too clean. Whoever saw a barn without any hay or harnesses or just plain junk?
Yeah, there's a loft. Maybe there's some junk up here.
Oh, hey, be careful climbing that ladder.
It's steady.
You see anything?
Sorry. No plain junk, but... Hey, wait a minute.
What is it?
I'll be darned.
For heaven's sake.
Look at this. It's the sign. It's the sign we saw out on the main road.
Oh, maybe it's one like it, an old one.
No. It's the same sign. It's the one that pointed to the two ruts through the field.
Why would Mr. Broker have it in here?
Hey, without this sign out there, you could go right past that field. Go right past Granville and never know it was here.
Is that what they want?
Maybe your suspicions weren't so wrong, Jane.
Oh, Mike. What does it mean?
I want to ask some questions. Look, don't let on we found this, huh? Come on, let's get out of here fast before Broker gets back.
Let's leave this town right away.
Yeah, I only hope we can.
Tim Egan did.
Oh, did he? You were suspicious about that sudden departure. Now I'm beginning to wonder. He departed, but I'd like to know where.
How are things in Granville? You'll forgive me for not going along with you, but maybe now you know why. I much prefer to stay here and let you tell me what's going on there. I'm dying to know what happens next to our friends Mike and Jane Slater. You'll be able to fill me in after you return to Granville shortly in Act 3. Still feel you want to return to the odd little village? Well, if you insist. And don't say I didn't warn you. Mike and Jane Slater have finally awakened to the fact that Granville isn't all it's cracked up to be. Jane felt it first. And now Mike, having found that Granville can shut itself off from the world with them in it, decides Jane wasn't so wrong after all. The thing that makes me curious, and perhaps you too, is why? Why do these sweet townsfolk of Granville appear to be increasingly sinister? I hope you'll be able to tell me when you get back. That is, if you get back.
What kind of danger are we in?
I don't know. It's so damn maddening, I don't know.
Do you think it's even safe to go back into the house?
Oh, we've got to get our things from the car. We'll tell Mrs. Williams that we've got to leave sooner than we thought.
Won't she be suspicious after Tim Egan's disappearance?
Hey, I'd like to find out if that guy really went home.
Oh, forget about him. Let's get ourselves home.
There's Ned Broker just leaving Mrs. Williams.
He probably knows we've been to his barn.
Don't let on about anything. Well, good morning, you two. Rested up from last night?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, still stuffed, though. Been putting the finishing touches on that painting, Mrs. Slater?
Yes, it's finished, as a matter of fact, and, it's a present for you.
Oh, now, Mrs. Slater.
Oh, please, take it.
Well, thank you. That's real special. Put it over my mantle. Sorry to run off. Got the chores at home. Yeah, that's okay. See you around. Bye now.
I don't know why I did that.
You didn't like it anyway.
Listen, the phone. Maybe we can sneak up the stairs while she's on the phone.
Hello? Who? Oh, Slater. Oh, yes.
It's for us.
No, they never arrived. I was expecting them the 1st of July. That's right. They were taking the 2nd floor for the summer. I called their apartment in the city twice and didn't get an answer. I assumed they changed their plans.
Mike.
I wish they'd let me know. I could have gotten other tenants. And you haven't heard from them since they left the city? Oh, dear. Well, I wish there was something I could tell you. Yes, perhaps you'd better. All right, goodbye.
Mike. She's gone into the kitchen.
Mike, this is unbelievable.
We are in danger. I don't know what or why. We have to get out of here. Don't let on we heard that conversation. Don't do anything to make them think we're suspicious. We've got to give ourselves time to make an escape.
Why would she say we weren't here? That we'd never arrived?
So they can do whatever they intend to do with us. That call had to be from Stu Hendry. He's the only one I told where we'd be.
He must be frantic.
Well, I've got to call him.
How can you?
There's got to be a public phone in the village.
Mr. Slater, lunch is ready.
I couldn't eat a thing.
Try when I slip into town and call Stu. Mrs. Williams, could I use your phone?
Well, of course.
I couldn't find a public phone in town.
Oh, so that's where you were when I had lunch ready. You didn't have to go all that way. All you had to do was ask. My phone's right here in the parlor.
I only want to call my publisher about my book. I'll reverse the charges.
All right, just help yourself. I'm going to a friend's for the afternoon. It's our backgammon day. And help yourself to the refrigerator. Mrs. Slater hardly touched a thing for lunch.
Hendry here.
Stu, it's Mike.
Mike, where the hell are you?
In Granville. Listen.
What? Why, I just phoned there, and some dame told me you never arrived.
I know. Listen, Stu, we're in danger here.
Danger? What?
I don't know what it is, but Stu, listen. This is important. Jane and I are leaving here in a couple of minutes. We'll call you as soon as we're out. If you don't hear from us in 1 hour, I want you to get all the police you can and get up here to Granville.
Well, how do I find the place?
Take Route 47 north to Minorville, then Route 11 west 2 miles, and look for... Oh, no. The sign won't be there. Look. You look for 2 ruts across a... Stu, did you hear me? Stu. Damn, they know. Jane!
What is it?
Is everything packed?
Yes, I just finished.
We're leaving now. Mrs. Williams went to a friend's. Hurry.
What did Stu say?
We were cut off, and it wasn't any accident. Grab those cases. I'll take the trunk and the typewriter.
Oh, I'll be so glad to get out of here. I'll kiss those hot city sidewalks.
But this is our only chance. Someone was listening in on my talk with Stu. I just hope we can make it in time.
I'll get the door.
Wait. Anybody out there?
Not a soul.
Okay. Let's go.
Do you think they're watching us?
I don't know. Just keep walking and we'll load the car. There's nothing they can do to stop us here. They don't seem to have any guns.
None that you know of.
All right, help me with the trunk. That's it. Now the case. Okay. Get in.
Still not a soul on the street.
So much the better.
Where are you going? You should have turned right.
No, we gotta get back to Thimble Street. We came in through Thimble to Maple. It's left on Thimble.
Oh, I guess that's right.
You know, the green house, remember?
Yes, there it is.
Only, what's that sign say?
Well, that was Broad Street.
Oh, there wasn't any Broad Street when we came in.
Well, it's probably the next one. Keep going.
I can't. We're coming to a dead end.
We'll have to go back. Try turning right on Broad Street.
Oh, gee, this is getting crazy.
We turned left coming in. Turn right here.
Okay.
Well, this looks right. This takes us right out onto the main road. Oh, thank God. Mike, we should have turned left back there.
No. We're still on the main road out of the village.
No, we're not. Look up there. It's another dead end.
It can't be.
We've got to go back and take the road to the left.
Oh, this doesn't add up, Jane. Look, we've been driving for a half hour trying to get out of this town. Every road's either a dead end or it takes us right back into the middle of the village.
But we came in on the main road. Where is it? Why can't we find it?
They don't want us to find it, Jane. We're trapped. We're trapped in this town, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but they don't want us to get out.
We're back at Mrs. Williams.
Oh, all roads lead to Mrs. Williams. I don't know what to do anymore. Driving around is useless. I'm going to confront that woman. I'm going to find out what's going on.
Then we'll never get out of here.
Again, I have to say, I don't know. Come on. We're going to wait for Mrs. Williams to get back from her backgammon.
Why, Mr. Slater, Mrs. Slater, something wrong?
Very, Mrs. Williams. Very wrong.
I don't understand. I saw all your things in your car as I came in.
We're leaving, Mrs. Williams. That is, we're trying to leave.
But why?
Well, you ought to know. You listened in on my phone conversation. You know now that we're on to you, all you lovely people in Granville.
On to us?
Oh, come on, Mrs. Williams. We're prisoners here. We know it. You know it. Why? That's what I want to know. Why?
Mr. Slater, if you want to leave, I think you'd better. I've never had guests act as strangely as you.
All right. What happened to Tim Egan? And why was the road marker hidden in Broker's barn? And why? Why can't we find our way out? Every street's changed since we came in. For a half an hour, we drove in circles trying to find the road we came in on.
Mr. Slater, if you want to leave Granville, I'll have Ned show you the right way. It's no secret. Ned will be over in 2 minutes. Have your coffee. You've nothing to worry about, Mr. Slater.
Mrs. Williams, I guess we've seemed awfully strange, but things have happened here that we don't understand.
Oh, I know. Mr. Slater enumerated them. I'll have some more coffee.
All right. I guess I'm feeling better.
Mrs. Williams, we've enjoyed your hospitality. Maybe we're making a big deal out of nothing.
Of course you are. I can't see a thing we've done to make you think we want to harm you.
I was trying to get out of town, and the road marker, like you were trying to hide us.
Well, maybe our imaginations got the best of us.
Yeah, maybe we ought to stay the rest of the summer, Jane. We've chased away the boogeyman.
No, I'm afraid it's time for you to leave. I'm sorry, too. I don't think you've got enough of my good home cooking.
Martha, you in there?
Come on in, Ned. I think they're about ready. They each had 2 cups.
I do hope you got some replacements coming.
A new couple tomorrow, 2 more on the weekend.
Good. Mr. Slater? Mrs. Slater?
When do we go home?
I'd better get them over to the freezer.
Oh, dear, I wish I'd had more time to fatten them up a bit.
Oh, you did fine, Martha. Same as always.
Oh, I hope so. It's my job.
Well, I'll get them packed down, and then I'd better get that sign out again. Don't want to miss the folks tomorrow.
Be right there. Oh, hello.
Hello, Mrs. Williams. We're the Reynolds.
Oh, of course. I've been expecting you all morning. You didn't have any trouble finding the place?
Oh, no.
Oh, well, come on in. Rooms are all ready. You're on the 2nd floor. Lovely couple just moved out.
I know now why you're so particular about your guests. This home is so beautiful.
Well, yes, we have to be.
Oh, my, the whole town is just a picture.
I just know we're going to enjoy it here.
And we're going to enjoy you.
We stopped at that little store in town to ask directions, and everyone seems so happy and healthy. It's so youthful.
Like you. We just can't believe you're 79.
Oh, well, we keep young in Granville. The secret's in our diet. We're very particular about what we eat. It's all in the diet.
Oh, your health food fattest.
Well, we do raise everything we eat. I hope you brought good appetites with you. It's my job to fatten up my summer people.
Well, I warned you not to go back there, but you went anyway. You can spare me the details. I know what went on there in Granville. Suffice it to say, a trip to Granville is a one-way trip. But I'm glad you got back safely. Relax and order anything on the menu. I'll be back shortly. I do hope you won't make the mistake of ever returning to Granville again. You're lucky to have gotten out with your skin. I can tell you one thing. You wouldn't catch me dead in the place. But you will find me in this same place tomorrow with another menu of suspense, mystery, and horror. Our cast included Tony Roberts, Jennifer Harmon, Grace Matthews, Leon Janney, and William Redfield. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.